I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Here.
Sigwit.
Here.
Nedrow.
Here.
Scott. Combo.
Here.
Kaznecki.
Here.
Nagy.
Here.
Mr. President, we have word from Mr. Scott that he won't be present tonight. He had a death in the family.
Motion to excuse?
Second.
Motion Nedrow, second Kaznecki. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Correspondence?
We have none.
Seeing none. Number 5, additions to business.
We have no additions.
Well, that brings us to item number 6, first call to the public. Oh, actually, wait a second.
Slow down,
Slow down a second.
That's right.
Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Moved. Second.
Motion Nedrow, second Sinkowitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, first call to the public, opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items. Seeing none, I will close the first call to the public and move us on to item 7, approval of consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion Kaznecki, second Nagy.
Sorry.
By a split second. Discussion on that motion.
Just one quick question for me on why is F on consent and item E not?
F was it was budgeted and we had discussed it already. Item E involves having to make a change in our allocation for forfeiture funds.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
So F is really just following through with something we've already discussed. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Sigwit.
Yes.
McGee.
Yes.
Nagy.
Yes.
Kaznecki.
Yes.
Combo.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, council. No public hearings scheduled. That brings us to item A, Lakes Area Youth Assistance Presentation. Ron, you wanna?
Yeah, I will take them. Neither Deb or Mike Scott could be here tonight, so I will try to do what I can to make the presentation, and hopefully it'll be pretty easy. This is something we've supported in the past, and I think council has a history of this. The village has a history of supporting this program, Lakes Area Youth Assistance. By the way, Brian Nedrow is a liaison or member of that board, as I am. We share that duty. And you received the packet that they send out, the guide of what they do, how the last year has gone, and so on. And I have a number of bullet points. Maybe I don't want to be too long-winded. I'll throw a couple of these out here, maybe just for the public to hear. Starting with the mission of the Lakes Area Youth Assistance is to strengthen our youth and families and to prevent and reduce child abuse, neglect, and delinquency through community involvement. And it's sponsored by the Walled Lake Consolidated Schools for the most part, and the communities of Commerce, Walled Lake, and Wolverine Lake, along with the Oakland County Circuit Court, Family Division, and lastly, the Board of Directors, which is a volunteer organization of a handful of people that do an awful lot of work. I guess I'll list some of the core programs that they focused on in 2013. One was the summer camp experience. One was the skill building activities, a number of those that they sponsored. If I go back a little, I mean, the summer camp experience, there was 46 Walled Lake District children received scholarships to go to these camps. 11 attended overnight camps and 35 attended day camps. In the skill building activities that include pay to play, art, music, sports, 75 children in the school district received scholarships. The shopping programs, Shop with a Cop and Shop with a Hero, 37 needy children were included and participated in those events. And the holiday adopted family where people could take upon themselves to do the purchases of gifts and address the needs of families that are having difficult times. And so it's worked out very, very well for them. And one of their biggest fundraisers, I think the major fundraiser, is the Taste of the Lakes. And our officer, Rebecca List, along with Mike Stack, they co-anchor that, sponsor that event. It's incredibly successful. I think it's actually outgrown almost the facility, Edgewood. But it is the major fundraiser for that organization, and the last Taste of the Lakes broke the record for revenue. So they're doing a great job. The organization's doing a great job, and it's my view that we should continue to offer the same level of financial support that we have in the past.
All right.
So, if there's any questions, specific questions, I can try to answer them. If not,
I think Captain Ellsworth has often had a word or two to say on behalf of
Well,
Lakes area
obviously, we
youth.
think it's a very worthwhile program we're supporting. I wish we could do more on the police funding side of it. Obviously, with Officer List being very involved, she's very active, and not only with the board, but also with the Taste of the Lakes. So, obviously, we support it very much.
Ron, how much is it?
it's our level of support's been $4,200.
4,200? I'll make a motion that we continue on with our commitment to youth assistance with a $4,200 donation for this year.
Motion Sinkowitz.
Second.
Second Cumbo.
Great.
Out of the four voices, I had to pick one, and since you talked about it, you get
Took
to
the
be
words
the
right out of my mouth, I guess. So.
Further discussion on the motion? Yeah, I think it's a great program that we get plenty of benefit out of, so.
We really do. And I get one last thing. I mean, the Taste of Lakes, without Wolverine Lake participation, would be, this village and this community covers way more than size-wise they probably should.
And Rebecca and Mike did a heck of a job on that last
They
year.
really did. It's a great event.
Mike's really involved.
It is worth mentioning. That's one of the reasons I think we do get really good benefit out of them. Our community puts a lot into that program, I think.
Yeah.
And we benefit.
We do. We support it, and we do get the benefits. You're absolutely right.
All right.
Hey, Ron, I guess the question, and Brian can answer this, one of the things they had was this Mentors Plus program. Are you familiar with that relative to, supporting being an adult companion to a youth?
I'm not really that familiar. I know
The
Mike
Mentors
is.
Plus program, specifically, I'm not. And
Okay.
that,
And it's sort of like Big
Mike's
Brother,
very
Big
involved in
Sister
that, I know
type
that.
thing, I would
We-
think.
they have a number of programs such as, I guess I'll run a couple of them. I mean, they co-sponsor two bully prevention programs, including the Upstanders at Wall Lake Western and Geisler Middle School, as well as the Girls and Boys Empowered program at Wall Lake Elementary. So, I mean, they're covering people, if not mentoring, helping them get back on track, kids from kindergarten right through the late teens. Through, mentoring, supervising, creating opportunities for financial support, scholarships. It goes on and on and on. I hope that helps answer your
Yeah, I
question.
mean, yeah,
It
there's-
doesn't specifically, I know that.
Yeah, I
but-
think, I'd just like to find out a little bit more about that. I see there's a number in here we can call to get information. Thank you.
Further discussion on the motion? Let me get a roll call vote.
Kaznecki,
Yes.
Cumbo,
Yes.
Nedra,
Yes,
Sinkowitz,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Nagy.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, council. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Lakes Area Youth Assistance.
Thank you.
Okay. Item B, Design Resources. We've got Dave Donellan here to talk about Village Hall building renovations and the new plan to actually renovate it to look just like an igloo.
It is what you're gonna. Very good. Thank you. I'm here, and I've sent over the, like 85% review drawings for construction drawings. construction drawings are pretty drab. They're necessary, however, to get the appropriate bids and proposals to do the construction. I just wanted, I indicated in our proposal, we'd be here to present a progress presentation of the plans. The plans, as you see them, you should be able to recognize the fact that they're very similar to the drawing, the color drawing that's up on the wall. And we are in schedule to have it bid out in April and start construction in May. So I'm here to answer any questions you might have regarding the project, and I turn it back over to you.
All right, we go around to council for questions, and then I think we've got another item with Sharon on this. Ed?
Couple of questions. Just out of curiosity, with your involvement in this, where are we at? How much have we invested in the drawings and the preliminary so far, approximately? Do you have a number?
I think probably around 6,000.
Okay. And has any, the building square footage is not changed? The same?
Absolutely correct. No square footage change in the building.
And have you had any guesstimations on what this is gonna cost?
I think when we first designed it, we had a proposal that was running around $800 a linear foot going around the building. I think the linear footage of the facade has increased a little bit, but it's still about the same area.
That's including the windows and all the roof
Right.
work and everything, doors and concrete and
Right.
porches and everything?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Just to be,
You're-
go ahead, Dan.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Just to be clear, that we're talking exterior work exclusively. It does have a floor plan, basically showing the outline of the building, but I want to make that,
Yeah, it's
Clear.
the exterior of the building.
yeah.
Dave, relative to the handicap ramps that are here, one of them is an existing one. Are these, is there any plans to heat these things for like winter time? Or, I don't know if that's standard practice or whatever, so ice doesn't build up on them, et cetera, since it is a handicap ramp? Or maybe it's not the,
We're covering the main ramp coming into the office upstairs
okay.
completely. That will greatly improve accessibility and leave 90%, not 100%, but 90% of the snow and freeze off that ramp. The one leading down to this room is relatively the same. We're covering a little bit more of the main entrance and just a portion of the upper part of the ramp. But the ramp coming down here is relatively open.
Yeah, it is. There have been times it's been slippery, you know, DPW tries to keep up with it, sometimes it got a little slippery. I didn't know if that was, it's cost effective to do something like that since you're covering it, or to put the heated coils or whatever you put in.
Well, in terms of the ramp coming down here, that would be a
That would be-
whole brand-new
Yeah, we
ramp,
can't
and
do
we're not
anything
doing
here.
that.
I can't do anything here, I understand.
No,
Yeah.
and then the one over there is covered, and there's no reason to spend that extra money.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, speaking of interior, I mean, we've talked about the exterior, and just as a reminder for everybody, it's essentially work that's necessitated one way or the other because of the crumbling stucco outside, but we've also been taking a look at some of the interior needs in the building, and I know Sharon had a particular
I
item
did.
she wanted to bring up while
I
we're talking
did.
about it.
You've all been up in the conference room for meetings, and as you know, that's quite small. So I had a thought that maybe we could push that wall out a little bit and make that room larger. And so, of course, I hit Dave with that tonight, and he's done, he's looked around a little bit, and it is possible to do that. For the future, I think you're gonna continue to have meetings here and upstairs, and this chamber is a little too large for some of our meetings, but that conference room is too small for most of the meetings we have. Even when we have a pre-con meeting with contractors and things, it's just not big enough. So I would like and encourage council to see what we can do as far as getting some type of a price for knocking that room out a little bit.
Sharon,
Which
you
wall
were
are you
pretty-
talking about, Sharon, by the bathroom?
I'm talking this wall.
Yeah,
Yep.
the west one.
Oh, you mean
Where the
put-
window is,
Yep.
Oh,
bump
you
it
mean
out.
Making the building bigger?
Yep, yep.
And I will say, I had the same notion, I think around the time of our last closed session up there. And, you know, honestly, that's a change that we've had since we've gone to the, you know, we're wired for microphone and sound and the internet, and so we're not gonna do any closed sessions here. We're gonna do it up there, but that meeting room is, once we get, you know, 7 council people, an administrator and an attorney in there, there's just not enough room. We've had, you know, in the time I've been here, we've had a lot of fairly crowded meetings in there. My initial thought was actually going towards where the kitchenette is, but there's actually a supporting wall there, so it's not a good way to go. Backwards makes a lot of sense to me, and if we're going to do these other things at the same time, it makes sense to do it, incorporate it into the outside design, and I think we really have come up against a place where we need that room.
You have any idea how much you're thinking?
I don't have the exact size. We know we go out about 20 feet, still
Yeah.
meet the ordinance.
The setbacks, we can meet the setbacks.
The width of that room and the next room has to be about 24 feet. So we've got 20 by 24, the largest. That's,
Would that be all the way to the ground, or would it be, since you're up on the second floor, would that be, have to be supported, or how would we do something?
You'd have to put a foundation.
Foundation, I mean, yeah, I know, but as far as
Crawl space.
go all the way down to the
I think you want
ground
to
floor.
word by Mike.
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yep.
Okay, answer the questions. Yes, it would, and it would be logical to actually do a basement
Okay, that's what I was thinking. yeah,
for that area, and it could be used as storage or some other function. I don't know if it's convenient, because it really would start about this point on the wall where that column is, or the pilaster, and go that way forever,
And all
whatever is
the air
square.
conditioning units are right out there too, aren't they?
Oh,
We
I
missed
looked out
them.
the window,
Yep,
we're
we
stopping
missed
at
them.
the air conditioning unit there, and the other air conditioning unit is over here at this point, the addition.
Yeah.
So we would be between the two.
Yeah.
Would that
Well,
that additional square footage overtax the heating or cooling system for the building?
Yes, it would. There'd have to be a little bit of
You have
additional.
to do something there for that.
Yes.
You know what? I understand that room is crowded, and I've heard that, you know, we want to redo this, get all new chairs, but how much time do we spend in these chairs every week? How much time do we spend in that little room? Only if there is a reason. I'm willing to bet right now that with the interior and the exterior and that addition, we're gonna be over $250,000 on this building in a heartbeat. And I'll take that to the bank. And I think if we're gonna spend that kind of money on retrofitting this building, I just wonder why we don't have an advisory vote on our next ballot if the people of the community think it's wise to spend that kind of money on this building. It served its purpose this way for quite a while, and then there was a retrofit. It's not perfect, but it's just like anything else. Every time you start to tear into something or add on, there's always surprises. Just been brought up. Now we're gonna build a whole basement there. Not just a foundation, but a basement. And the heating and the plumbing, that's all gonna add up. And I guarantee you, this project will well and exceed $250,000.
Well,
I-
go ahead, John.
Let me go to Ron, and then I think Captain Ellsworth wanted to word.
I think Sharon's request is just not so much to move the whole project or change the scope, but maybe just look into it, kind of leave it at a very starting point. Is that what you're thinking initially here, or?
Well,
I don't know
I'd
how
like
far you
to
wanna
look
take
into it.
I mean, Ed brings up some good points, that the project will, most projects do end up being more grandiose or more expensive than you ever foresee going in, especially, you know, modifying structures. I've gone through that myself, and I know that's the case. That being said, John brings up a good point too about the fact that now with the internet and microphones and so on, more closed sessions are taking place there. And there's no doubt in my mind that if we had a better facility, larger room, whatever, some of those meetings they would flow much better. I think more results would come just because of the environment. So I agree with Sharon that there's a need. But, I mean, not to agree with everybody, but I see the points everyone's trying to make. I mean, I think we do need more space over there. That room is cramped, especially when we have a closed session. It'd be great to have a bigger room, but not to open up this whole $250,000 thing, you know, that might be the wrong way to go as well, so.
Well, keep in mind that this room is not just for council meetings. We have all of our board and commission meetings down here too. So lots of meetings take place down here. In the conference room, it's not just your closed session. We have pre-con meetings, we have negotiation meetings, we have a lot of committee meetings. The police department,
Yeah,
maybe that's what you want to talk about.
That's
Go
exactly what I was
ahead,
going to say is, we utilize that room as for interviews because it's much more conducive to bringing somebody in and sitting them down in a comfortable area. Not to take away your importance of using that room, but that room gets used much more than what you guys ever see it get used. It gets used on a regular basis. By me, at least 3 times a week in a meeting. We have other events that we do is with the police department. We do some training. We've done everything from measuring for police vests in that room. There's no other room. We're very short on space. And when you talk about using some areas in the basement for storage, I could throw a few really needed ideas for the police department. We need a safe room. We need a room where we can store evidence and things of that nature also. Right now, it's in the back of our locker room. And I don't want to be very specific about it, but it's there, but it's not, it would not pass a certification for the state of Michigan as far as an evidence goes. They're not going to tell us, or they would tell us that we would need more additional things in there than what we have. And if we were going to build a storage area, it could actually be built so it would meet the specifications required by the state for things like that. Not that I'm staking my claim on that, I'm just saying there are definitely other uses and we could definitely use some more additional room.
Well, I think a first step would really be get an estimate of costs. I mean, we don't even have an estimate of that. And then take a look at all the costs of the project going forward. I'm firmly of the opinion that we need to do something about the room problem up there. I mean, it's you know, we've used that room as much as we can, but it's tight up there, and we use it more than ever probably. So.
Well, maybe the scope could be two-pronged. It could be, A, you know, what would be the maximum it could be enlarged, and then B would be something in between where it is now and there. And maybe if it wasn't enlarged to the max, maybe the heating and cooling and those other items wouldn't be as expensive or needed as much. Or it's just a thought.
Yeah, I don't know that we need a 20 by 24 expansion
Yeah.
up there.
Right.
I think what we just need is a bigger conference room.
Yeah.
Is there a way
Does-
when,
Does anybody else think that an advisory vote on this would be something to put on the ballot? We did it with lake hours and water skiing.
Doesn't seem to me like the sort of thing that I would want or need an advisory vote on. I mean, it's a decision about, you know, how we've got this built. We're not proposing to put bonds out there. We're not proposing to build an entirely new building. We can put together additions of the, we can put together cost estimates on both the exterior project, which we know was absolutely required
Yes.
because of the stucco. We can put together an estimate of this. If we're talking about, 400 square feet, we may not be talking about that large of a project. If we're talking about 200 square feet, we may be talking about an even smaller project. I think we've got some reasonable needs here.
I would definitely be more comfortable with two separate, exterior and then the interior.
Yeah, my only point is that if we want to do something on the exterior, it would make sense to do it now or do it while we're doing the exterior work.
Absolutely.
Then we can put all of it together. I'm not saying that the two projects need to be tied. We can do the exterior without doing the expansion, but I think if we find out how much the expansion would be, that gives us a good cause for making a decision.
I think we could use some estimates first.
That's what I was
Yeah,
We can
absolutely.
Arrive at what we want to do next.
to get some estimates or an option for the construction package you're putting together, when another option would be that and just come up with a basic spec for it, because like I said, Captain Elder brings up some good points, and so does Sharon Miller, so I think we need to at least consider it, okay? And, like I say, even if we come up with, give an option as an estimate of what it's gonna take.
So I think the first step on getting an estimate is we might need an estimate of how much it would take to get the estimate.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a good
Or,
point.
We're gonna wanna have our village engineer involved, we're gonna wanna have Dave involved, at some point. But what would we need for enough money to get an estimate here?
If you don't mind, I would suggest that a fairly low-cost way to do it is to invite a couple builders in who are familiar with it. They could probably do it without Dave's and my input at all, at least give you a ballpark of what an addition like that would cost. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. So it might be good to just invite a couple contractors in. Sharon and I have done that in the past to get input from builders, and they've seemed to come pretty close to estimating those kind of things.
Well, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because you hate to have money spent to get the building done and then tear up what we just put in if we're gonna add something on. If we could sort of plan ahead and even you make it ready to expand it as far as the external part of the building. So, we don't destroy what we just spent to have fixed.
Does that sound a reasonable way to propose, to ask the administrator to go out, get preliminary estimates on the options for expanding up there? We can bring them back, we'll have some numbers then, we'll have some concrete
Yeah.
numbers. That'll give everybody a chance to look up there, pull out a tape measure, look around at maybe some of the options. And then I think we can have a discussion about what we want to do if the cost is merited, if we see the benefit.
Yeah.
Mr. President, if I may, while we're doing that, I've been talking to Sharon, and I know some of you have actually been in the closet that they call my office. There's a couple of quick options we could do to expand that office, and we were looking into it at a minimal cost, and I think I talked it over with Mike, and he agrees that we could knock out one wall and take it all the way back to the front of the building where you could actually have a window and build a wall in front, so it's actually just expands it joins two rooms, where my copy room and fax machine is now. We would actually bring that out front to where the officers use it. So I would also like, if you see fit, to have that estimated as well during that time, so we could.
As long as we're doing it.
Since we're doing that, I think it only, my officers did a great job in their room and making it comfortable for them, but I'm still in this little.
I've been up there,
Yes, it's tight.
it's not
cozy.
palatial.
Yes.
You
But,
can move in that room and we'll take the,
Yeah, I could put them all in there, so, but thank you.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to have the administrator collect up some preliminary estimates? Motion Sinkowitz?
Second.
Second, Nagy. Further discussion?
I guess a question, are we talking like bringing builders, just give you like what I would call a guesstimate on what this would cost? Or are we gonna, allocate financial resources for them to give us a hard number?
I think we're talking about getting a guesstimate, essentially.
All right,
Yes.
now there'd be a big difference from one with a basement and one on a foundation.
yeah, sure
Yep.
would.
Yeah, but we could get those numbers back, and then we could take a realistic look at where we are on this. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Before we actually move on to item C, reports and recommendations from Engineer Powell, I would actually like to take a moment just to recognize that our state representative, Clint Kesto, has joined us. And though he wasn't part of the agenda, I might ask, Clint, you got anything you want to share with us?
Sure. I know this is you guys have a lengthy agenda here.
And we're just about to talk about roads, so how convenient that you've shown up.
And I was talking to President Pro Tem Sinkowitz yesterday, and part of the conversation
Microphone.
him and I had.
Microphone.
This thing is so tall.
Thank
First,
you.
thanks. You guys are doing a great job here at the village. But we were talking at NI yesterday, and I'm going to try and get someone from MDOT to get in touch with them, mostly about what we're actually using to build or the planning of the roads. But as far as funding, we just sent something out of the House that'll be going to the Senate to add $215 million, and hopefully it'll get approved by the governor as well and by the Senate. But that'll get us to an amount for the 2014 year of around $600 million or so for roads. We're still looking at a long-term plan, Obviously, as the governor has indicated, his estimates are 1.2 billion a year. We got to figure out where that revenue comes from. But for the short period of time, we're looking at that, and I will have someone from MDOT contact you as far as the physical structure and what they're using to build and where the accountability is on that end. Other than that, we're getting the supplemental budget out because of the surplus, and then we'll be working on the budget, and hopefully we'll get that done by June. But I'd love to have as much input as I can from you folks, especially getting some local dollars into the area. One project that I, hopefully, if everything works out, we're going to get Green Lake Road, which is in West Bloomfield, in my district. I don't know if anyone has driven over there, but it's a disaster. And we're going to get about $2.5 million for that project. I know there are tons of projects everywhere, so just let me know if there's something here in the village. Be more than happy to advocate to get some dollars back into our area. Any parks, lake issues, let me know, and we'll work on some legislation, get some support from fellow Oakland County members. But other than that, feel free to contact me, just as Ed did. I'm always available, and I'm glad everything's going well and smooth here in the village.
Yep. All right. Anybody with questions for Representative Kesto?
One of the things I appreciated you doing was sending the email and note around about your brunch was, how did you call it?
Espresso with Kesto?
Espresso with
Yeah.
Kesto, yes.
I do coffee hours every third Friday morning in West Bloomfield at Leo's Coney Island on Haggerty and Pontiac Trail, 7 a.m. on Fridays. And then Mondays, 3 times during the day, from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. at 14 and Haggerty at Miracle Coffee. Lunchtime from 12 to 1. I just switched and I'll be, was at the Coffee Beanery in Wixom, but we're going to be at a different place the next time. And then from 6 to 7 at Coffee Time at 15 and Welch, Maple and Welch. Try to mix it up, keep it local, but give everybody a different opportunity depending on time of day. And then if anyone has a time that can't make it then, I'm always available too. And I try to make as many of these as I can, but it's difficult. We're in session on Wednesdays, and it's about an hour and a half trek back, hour and 15 minutes. But
Well, fortunately, the roads were clear today, right?
yeah, right, depending on which lane you're in. So I'll stick around for a little bit and feel free to contact me.
Appreciate you coming, and I've been to a couple of them over here at the Richardson Center and stuff like that, and it's nice to see a politician making himself available to listen to everybody's, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I see your sign, storm drains are non-sewers. I'm going to try to do a big promotion now as this ice starts melting. The sewers are going to be getting clogged up with whatever debris there was around. But if there are any issues, let me know. Either I'll send someone from my staff or we'll get someone from the state to come out and try to help out with those sewers as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And I should say, Oakland County Water Commission has been really helpful with a lot of those. as
I'm
well.
glad you brought that up. I will just say one more thing. We're going to have a big issue with Detroit Water and Sewer. Any
we are.
input you have, we're going
Separate.
to... What's that?
Separate.
That might be one of the options. How many folks or residents do you think in the village are on that, Detroit Water and
So
Sewer?
we have in the village fairly few compared to the rest of the area. Most of the village is on either private well or community well.
Mhm.
We do have some areas that are now on municipal water.
Yes.
If I were to guess offhand, I'd say probably a couple hundred residences, give or take. And our village engineer is there to correct me if I'm wrong. In terms of sewers, we have probably a few more. We have sewers that actually go around the lake entirely. They feed into the Commerce sewer plant.
Okay.
Probably total number on sewer, I don't know, 200-300 now.
About 200 on sewer, but more like 100 on water.
So I was shooting over the top. However, we're going to talk Redwood later, and that will certainly increase the number.
Yeah, the infrastructure there at DWSD is a complete disaster, and they're going to try to push some of those costs to the wholesale customers, which are those outside of the city, people in Village of Wolverine Lake, Commerce, this surrounding area in Oakland County. we'll be working together with Brooks Patterson and some of the other senators and representatives from the area. But any input, let me know.
Okay, and other items, just since we're here, we're really about to talk about our 2014 road paving program, so good time to find out what our needs are there. And I know you and I talked last fall about, getting some pathway work done, working together with Walled Lake and Commerce over on South Commerce Road and a couple other places. We've got a committee, we're actually gonna meet pretty soon with the Commerce Park and Rec Committee over there, talk a little bit with Walled Lake, but, I'm kind of hopeful that sometime this year you might see a proposal from us in terms of what we'd like to be able to do to get some of the people off the roads that are joint roads in the
Right.
communities.
And we'll get the budget out quick. So the sooner I can get any of those, the better it'll be for me to kind of put that in and make some plugs in Lansing with the folks on Appropriations Committee. Because we'll probably try to get it passed by the beginning of June, end of May. And they're working all their committee hearings now. So if you have anything within the next month or so,
We'll see if we
shoot
can
me
get
an email.
some estimates to you. yeah.
Absolutely.
Mr. President, one item, and Sharon, I think, will agree with me, one item that we're going to be dealing with at length with fairly expensive price is the Phase 2 stormwater issues, the NPDES demands from DEQ. They are getting exorbitant, and Sharon and I will be presenting that to council here in the next 30, 45 days, and I'm not convinced that council will be happy with that, and so we may need your help to maybe rein the DEQ back just a touch.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Thanks for indulging me on that point away from our agenda, council, but that does bring us to item C, reports and recommendations from Engineer Powell.
Council, the first one's very easy. Yep, thank you. Not used to that. The first one's very easy. Last fall, Al's Paving completed all their work in the Lakeview paving program. Our letter back in January of last year actually said that we were holding about $1,000 of their money until they finished some shoulder work in that project. Took them a while, but they did complete that. They also did a few other things, and I was able to talk them through some net credits back to the village as well. So instead of $1,000, my estimation is, or my calculation is, that the village only owes them $540.68 to close out that entire project. And I recommend payment to Al's Asphalt. That's the retainage amount from the work that they've done.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved to pay the final payment to Al's Asphalt of $540.68. And we approve that as
Okay.
recommended by Engineer Powell.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second, Cumbo. Further discussion? Time to pay it. Seeing no further discussion, let me get a roll call vote.
Chesnecki.
Yes.
Cumbo.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Sinkowitz.
Yes.
McGee.
Yes. All
Maybe,
right.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, that would-
Maybe, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Pat. Motion carries. That brings us to item C2, which may take a little bit longer. This is, it's listed as 2013 road maintenance, but it's really 2013, 2014 road maintenance.
Correct.
This is the project that we carried over from the fall bid. So, what are our options?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm here, I want to make sure that council knows that I've made it my job to present with you the facts of the bids. Cadillac Asphalt was the lowest contractor bidding the project. Based upon the amounts that they bid, I've broken down the costs to repave Glengarry Road and all the various options, work in Benstein Road, work in South Commerce Road, 4-foot shoulders paved, 2-foot shoulders paved, which is existing, to replace what's existing, provide for a separated pathway from Glengarry Road, and I presented that. Hopefully you've been able to go through it. I can go through it one point by point, or I can just accept questions that you might have. What we're looking for, Cadillac Asphalt is the successful bidder and the low bidder for this particular project. what I'm trying to do now is to get the scope of work from council that I can represent to them to be able to mold exactly what the village wants to do. We have a pre-construction meeting the 20th of this month so that they can order their materials and get their equipment and schedule us for one of the first items to be done this year. I've required them to be done before Memorial Day. So they have from when the plants open, normally mid-April. This year, we're not even convinced frost is going to be out of the ground by then. But that gives them the month of May to do the entire project. And that includes taking up Glengarry Road. That includes replacing some cross culverts. If we're going to put a new pavement down, we want to make sure the culverts are structurally sound underneath the roadway. That includes ditch cleaning. That includes then repaving. That includes some work in Benstein Road, repairing some culverts, and doing a little overlay in the eastern portion of Glengarry Road. I mean, in Benstein Road, where we're kind of blending in. Same thing in South Commerce Road. I've also shown the cost of the different work in South Commerce Road. If you recall, we have a curb line that is dropped in the existing right-hand turn lane. And I'm suggesting that we raise that up and get rid of that area that holds water right now, and then resurfacing the right-hand turn lane. And so I've got that lumped into a price. And then I'd even expanded it to see how much it might cost to extend that right-hand turn lane and eliminate that very first section where you pull into a right-hand or into a passing lane, back out, and then back to our right-hand turn lane. Kind of expand that right-hand turn lane a little bit. I've outlined the prices here, and I'm more than happy to discuss any idiosyncrasies you might have, but I'm looking for input from council.
Actually, the first question I had, Mike, was a number that I didn't see on here, and I just don't recall from the bid. So the basic cost of the Glengarry paving project, even if we did it just with the 2-foot shoulder on either side, what was that? I mean, that's the bulk of this project. Everything else is more or less options. No, that's the amount additional. The 64,000 would be the amount to expand from 2 feet to 4 feet. I'm looking for the number for the
2 foot.
even if we do it at 2 foot.
The entire bid came in at $663,330. That is for all the work that's on the drawings that you see behind you there, and I can certainly flip through those to show you. That's all the work that we've talked about. That includes the widening of the roadway to 4-foot paved shoulders on each side. That includes the extension of the right-hand turn lane. It's the entire scope of work. The breakdown that I've provided you now is the different options and what it might cost to take away from that overall cost.
Got it.
So they're deducts.
565, 545.
So for instance, the 663 includes, for instance, the coming down south on South Commerce, extending that full, so it's not that back and forth to turn right.
That's correct.
That's all inclusive in that.
That's all inclusive, and I might also add it includes the new entrance to Clara Miller Park.
Yeah.
It includes the new pathway from Lakeview out to our path along Benstein Road that ties us into our boardwalk, and it includes the improvement at the end of Oak Island Drive, where it's all broken up at the end.
The things on this list that it doesn't include, let me just check. That would be repaving the Vita Trail and the Vita Trail parking lot. Was that included or was that not?
It was not included. That was a cost that I've
Right, so that was just an added
extrapolated.
instrument to see if we.
That is correct.
So that would be an extra, that would be a plus.
And same thing with the separate pathway.
Same thing with the
on
separate pathway. I gave you that so you could say, okay, if we didn't do 4-foot shoulders, which is in the $64,000 range, what might it cost to do a pathway? Now, keep in mind that separate pathway is only from Oakview to Palamas to tie into our existing pathway system. Beyond that is, if you've gone down there, you know that we would take out a tremendous amount of trees. We'd change the whole characteristic of the western part of Glengarry Road, so I stopped short of that.
Mr. President?
Well, the Oak Island Drive repair, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ron.
The Oak Island Drive repairs, that is included in the 663 original?
It is, yes.
So the ones that are not is the Vita Trail parking lot,
That is correct.
the Vita Trail paving, and the separate Glengarry Road pathways.
That is correct.
Everything else, including the McCoy Road pathways, all that, everything else is in there, just those 3 items.
Just those 3 items are the only ones that I kind of extrapolated from the bids that we received from Cadillac Asphalt. Now, I have to let you know that the estimate on the pathways would probably be less, and I say that comfortably because Cadillac and I went through the process, and you can't use a regular paving machine on a pathway. So they can't back a truck up to it and dump it and get good efficiency in their design. So it would be a separate machine. They might have to carry the asphalt into the hopper of the paving machine with a bobcat, things like that. So really the cost per unit was double to estimate the pathway than it is for the roadway. So I just wanted to let you know.
Go ahead, Ed.
Okay. I think I've been pretty clear in my opinion about going with the 2-foot shoulder. I had talked with Brian, I can't think of his last name, who is the head of the Oakland County Road Commission. And he said that, as Mike had alluded to, that on a lot of roads they're building, they're putting in more shoulder. But he says that's not the rule. When you look around our community, South Commerce, Benstein, so many roads have no shoulder except gravel. And I think, my thinking is that the savings on that 16,000 feet of asphalt could do a lot for the community. And also, the concern I have is that even if this, and this council has discussed this openly so many times, is that if you're putting a 4-foot pathway on there, or a shoulder, but you're assuming people are gonna walk on it and ride a bike on it, but that's not the reason it's there, I think, I think there's a possibility of, we're miscruiting what we're actually trying to do there. And the other thing is, a lot of that shoulder that's gravel is gravel that's just been thrown there for drainage reasons and everything. So I think we're gonna find that we're gonna have to do some work there to get that 4-foot shoulder to hold up. And then with some of the guard railings and some of the other things we have out there, is that, are you gonna go 3 here and then 4 here and 3.5 here? And I just think that, and I think it's, not speaking for the police chief, but I've heard many times, when you have this wide expansive road, you automatically, your foot goes down on the gas a little more, because it's gonna look like an airplane runway, 4 feet wide. And the other thing is, when you make this roads 4 foot wide, there's culverts that not only have to, they have to be extended if they don't have to be replaced. And the ditch lines, the road is gonna come up right up to the ditch line. And anytime anything heavy gets off, there's no soil to support the side of it, and you're gonna have that breakdown on the edges. And I just, I don't see any logical reason to spend an extra $65,000 on something like that when we can use it throughout the community and others. And the other thing is, I know we had talked about this before, and I thought maybe, I don't know if we directed, but Sharon, did you ever check with Oakland County to see if they'd be willing to pave that part of South Commerce?
I think
I can address that. I did. I talked through the budgeting department, the engineers for Oakland County. They have no money whatsoever to even maintain the roads, let alone do any expansion. So the answer was absolutely not to do any right-hand turn lane, do any overlays or anything like that in South Commerce Road or Benstein Road. However,
Now,
if I could just continue. I did touch base with the maintenance department from Oakland County, because they are in charge of making sure the roads are safe. I presented and I showed the head of maintenance the 2 catch basins in the Benstein Road intersection that are collapsing in on themselves. And each one of those cost, I have it in here, they're about $2,500 a piece to repair those. And then I also showed them the area on South Commerce Road where we have a ditch line that's dropped, a curb line that's dropped, and that's about a $5,000 fix, and I have that listed in here. He directed me to his boss, who told me that they could probably find the funds to reimburse the village for those costs, for those repairs in their right-of-way. They can't do any expansion, they can't do any improvements, but they are charged to maintain the existing roadways. So I've got a tacit nod. They would be able to find the funds for that. They do not have the time to repair it themselves, so they have very much appreciated these costs, and I forwarded them the bids from Cadillac Asphalt so they could maybe program that in. So that is a definite possibility.
Now, when you talk about the South Commerce, so we're just gonna fill a pavement in where it's gravel, or you're gonna tear the old one out and put a whole new one in?
No, we were gonna repair the spot that dropped, and then just replace the gravel in that V that comes back in, and replace that with asphalt,
Just
and then
continue the
and
line up.
and then extend the shoulder to the west a
I
little
was a
bit.
little bit concerned because when I can't believe that, well, it's $12,000, what was it?
Yeah, it was about 12. I think you're right.
$12,000 for that, and I don't, again, we pay taxes to the county to do that kind of stuff. And I was always under the impression that, there's that station there, that pump station. Okay, well, you have to have an egress and a degress. And that's why that's like that, is so that when you pull into there and you pull out, you have a chance to get in traffic. I think because
Actually, Ed, that is actually the passing lane for the road across the street. All they have is a little driveway in off of that
Okay.
taper for that, to service that pump station.
That's considered part of the passing lane.
Right.
Okay, and the last thing is, I would hope that when we get all this milling out of here, this milling product, it's not a waste product. It's something that can be used in this community all over. Part of the DPW yard is dirt, gets muddy, it's nasty, you cover that up. We can use it for shoulders, we can even, I believe, use it for base in the Vita Trail.
My estimate here didn't show any need for a base under the Vita Trail because it's already a compacted gravel base. The cost here was just adding 3 inches of asphalt on top of the existing Vita Trail. But you're exactly correct, Ed, and I'm going to support Ed. Those millings are valuable, so valuable that just out of curiosity, I took a bid, or I asked Cadillac Asphalt in the bidding process how much they would credit the village if we provided them a place to dump it within 3 miles. There was zero savings to us. They're valuable enough that they want to take them to their yard and reuse it. Yeah, they reuse it in asphalt and things like that. The entire project, all the millings for the entire project, if we had a place to dump them just 1 mile away, they gave us only a $3,000 credit on the whole job. So they're a fairly valuable commodity. That being said, I know that the park on Del Monte, at the end of Darnell, they'd be looking for some of those millings to be placed, and it's going to be a policy issue. Are we going to allow the contractor to dump these in key locations? I've talked to Bob Malik, is the main proponent of this one. If we dropped several loads in there, they would have to spread it. I mean, we don't have the ability to go and spread it for them, but we could certainly give them a nice pull-off for the people that live off the lake to be able to pull up to that park.
We can also use that to, rejuvenate any shoulders that have washed out or broken down.
We could do that. Commerce Township has stepped up, and they would like as much of it as they can get for their 2 parks right here on Glengarry Road. So Ed's right. It is very valuable. I do not expect to recommend that any of it go back to Cadillac. If all they're going to give us is $3 grand, Commerce will step up and pay that in a heartbeat. to the village. And so it's a valuable commodity.
Thank you.
Let me go back and just make sure we're all in the same numbers again, and then what I think I'd like to do is maybe tackle this list with some of the more straightforward questions first. We'll come back. I think the issue of the shoulders is really the one that we it's probably gonna take us the most discussion. Some of the other ones are pretty straightforward. So just to make sure I'm looking at the right numbers here then, Mike, we are looking at, without the extra shoulder work, the project would come in at about 600,000 for everything. And if we eliminated all of the options here, that, not including the Vita Trail work and the separate Glengarry Road pathway, the absolute minimum would then be 520,000, more or less.
That is correct. And you said you rounded it to 600, but it was really 660,000, and that's,
But it was 660 if we only did the 2-foot shoulder.
no, that was
No,
that was the 4-foot.
Sorry, 600 if we do the 2-foot, 660 if we do
There
the
you go.
4-foot.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry. I apologize if I misspoke there. So let me take a couple of these that I think aren't going to take much discussion. Oak Island Drive repairs, I think we all agree that just needs to be done, right?
Yeah.
General consensus around the table, so I think that's a yes. McCoy Road pathway, that's 17,750. I would note that some of the tri-party funds that we approved earlier today might get credited over there.
We have 24,000.
Necessary work, we've got culvert work over there. McCoy is got some crumbling going on. Anybody think we don't need to do that? Any questions about that one?
Now, this is,
This is the McCoy pathway. So that's going from the Benstein Bridge and on McCoy to go into Lakeview area.
okay.
Yep. Right there where people have
Made it
carved.
They've made their own pathway
Yep.
there.
Okay, so I think that one's a yes also. Clara Miller Park entrance,
You think so?
I think,
well merits it, I think.
I think it's
Pretty rough pulling in there.
Yep.
Yep.
Benstein Road repairs,
That's something we may get reimbursed from.
I'm looking for that $5,000 to be reimbursed to the village by the road commission.
Yeah, I think if we got some of that back, I wouldn't hesitate too much, but, I just, again, that's why we have, that we're in Oakland County, for them to do that. They're short of money, then, I'm just not comfortable with us ponying up. I'd like to hold off on that one,
the flip side
until we
is,
find out a little more.
the flip side,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
The concern with not addressing that other 2175, if you recall, I shared with you last time that really the Glengarry Road right-of-way stops about 60 feet in from the center line of Benstein Road. So we would end up with a straight line about at the stop bar, where the stop bar is going into the intersection. And the intersection then would remain exactly the way it is now. The 2175 is to get out into that, at the end of the radius there and actually blend Glengarry's new asphalt into the asphalt in Benstein Road. That's why I kind of extended it towards the center line a little bit more. So the decision that Ed is probably presenting, do you stop right at the end of the ownership line of Glengarry Road? And the same issue is going to occur on South Commerce Road. You could stop it right where Glengarry Road stops, your right-of-way stops, and not do anything in the Oakland County right-of-way at all. Now, you've got, that area is all broken up, that right-hand turn lane and that area. We're not going out into the through lane at all. This is just the right-hand turn lane and the taper out into South Commerce Road. So that is a policy, that's a question that really you guys have to discuss.
Well, if you remember when they did Decker Road, they didn't do Pontiac Trail. And it ended there and it ended there. And it was a mess. And then Oakland County came in and did it right.
I don't know who did it, but somebody did
It was
it.
Oakland County that finished that part off. And again, I guess, you know, you don't want to do anything, you know, slipshod where you leave, you know, you turn off of South Commerce and you got 10 feet of, and then it smooths out, you know, but.
So at a couple things, I'm not sure that it was actually the county that paved that intersection. I think that was part of that original project. The annoying thing was that they left it like that for 4 months until the very end of the project, when it was the most.
I'm not sure either, but I saw Oakland County trucks out there doing it. So, that's
it-
debatable.
It got done. It would be nice to get genuine assurance that if we're gonna make those repairs. Let me just ask, because I think I may have been confused on which ones we have. So the Benstein is really just going out and putting our project in there. The drains, those are down on South Commerce, right?
No, the drains themselves, there's 2 catch basins in the northeast curb
Okay,
line
okay,
of
so those are the catch
Benston
basin
Road.
repairs that are 5,000.
Correct.
Got it, okay.
This is right in front of the dairy twist, right?
It's the opposite side of the street from the Dairy Twist.
front of
But
Glenn Tuttle.
the pavement
Okay.
is in front of the Dairy Twist. Just before you get into the through lane on Benstein Road, that's the area that I'm looking to resurface. But the catch basins are across the street in front of that car dealership.
Okay.
So I'm really of two minds here, because it would pain me to do this project and not get that stuff fixed while we're doing it. On the other hand, we sucked up an unbelievable amount of money for down on South Commerce when we did that pathway, and South Commerce was falling apart. We fixed it, and Oakland County said, thank you very much, Wolverine Lake.
Right, exactly.
I think for this and the extension, well, let's take this one first. I'd be willing to do it, but I want some sort of confirmation from Oakland County that they'll reimburse us.
They
Agree.
they didn't get back to me before today, and I apologize for that. They've been working on it since last week, but I can certainly work with Sharon on that.
I mean, if we don't get confirmation,
You're talking about the catch basin repair, basically,
Well,
right?
$5,000.
Yeah.
well, yeah, let's talk about the catch basins first. It would pain me to have broken catch basins and broken storm sewer there. But I'm still pissed that they didn't reimburse us for their broken and paved over vortex chambers over there.
You bet.
And our state rep is left right when I got to my soapbox.
It's like I'm gonna take my ball and
He's
go.
watching it on YouTube, by the way.
Where's the milling and resurfacing and the total Benston Road improvement? Oh, I see, that does include that then. I mean,
So-
we could separate them, so the milling and resurfacing kind of goes in along with the.
It does because the milling and the resurfacing kind of goes around those basins, and those basins are collapsing in, and the curb line is collapsing in. So I would not be in favor of doing anything in Benstein Road unless the catch basins were repaired.
Unless we were doing it
Because
all.
it just wouldn't make any sense.
Would we have to repair the curb line too then? Put the-
That's,
we'd have
that's,
to put
that's
all that
part,
back?
that's part of the 5,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So I think on that one, I'd be happy to approve, pending confirmation from Oakland County that they will reimburse for that.
And that's not that's an easy thing to do. I can cut that line right at the right-of-way line and say, listen, unless you step up and repair the catch basins, we're not going to do anything in Benstein Road right-of-way. That's very clean.
And
Yep.
I admit if it ends up coming to that, I'm going to look at that and go, these idiots, what did they do?
That's
But I'll be saying it about
that's kind of a
myself.
good point, though. I mean, if it's, we could go that way, and then with the intention of pursuing that 5,000, but to hold off on that and have it be look incomplete for, money's money. $5,000 is a lot of money. I agree. Do we want to hold up the whole thing, risk it being incomplete, waiting for the confirmation from the county?
We wouldn't have to wait. Keep in
you
mind
wouldn't
that
wait, right.
this isn't going to be done until the first part of May, middle of April. So there's some time here.
Yep.
And there's a pre-construction meeting, and the Cadillac will know what the issue is. And
Okay.
it's just a matter of us saying, no, we won't let you go past this line. We will control where they go if Oakland County doesn't step up. So
All right.
So we can revisit this one in the April meeting.
We could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would think
Let's get an
it's
update.
gotta be cheaper if they just allow us to do it and they reimburse us than if they had to have a whole crew out there and do it.
Oh, yeah, well, they can't.
They can't.
Not only would it cost more, but they don't have the manpower.
Yeah.
That's why it's the way it is right now.
Yeah.
They just don't have the manpower to do it.
So general consensus around the table to approve that one pending confirmation of reimbursement.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a great idea.
And I apologize, but I wrote it a little differently on my paper. I have remove this item if the road commission doesn't contribute. Is that your position, or is it leave it in there and it's kind of, are we saying the same thing?
We kind of are saying the same thing.
I think we are kind of saying the same thing. If the road commission comes back and tells us they're going to pay half of it or something, then we may need to have a discussion.
Gotcha.
But for now, it's off. For the moment.
It's on pending.
It's on
Pending,
pending
okay,
confirmation.
yes.
It's on pending confirmation that they're going to. So Glengarry Road only to the. So if we don't extend out to South Commerce, now, did you say that they did express the willingness to work with us on the South Commerce side of it also?
They're only willing to repair the dropped curb line that's ponding water, because it is a safety issue. This item resurfacing.
So that's the right turn lane onto Commerce Road?
No, that is the, I'm sorry, that is,
We're kind of going back up the list.
yes,
We are
I see
going
that.
back up the list.
The resurfacing of Glengarry Road only to the South Commerce Road right-of-way, that is the, it would cost $2,500 less if we stop the paving right at the South Commerce Road right-of-way line, and we didn't do the next 30 feet up to where the curb starts
Got it.
ending.
And that's the one they wouldn't be willing to.
Not willing to do that. The only thing they're willing to do is that curb line repair, and I'm sure I have that here.
And I think that one I would like to see us just finish it off and get it in.
That's your second item,
That's the
Mike.
second
Yeah,
item.
I'm
Mike.
more
Oh, thank you.
confused.
Yeah, that's the-
Because
that's the second item.
because
Thank you.
that's not $2,500 to do 30 feet of pavement or whatever.
Oh, yes, yeah, because it's only 2 inches. It's milling off 2 inches and then just blending our new pavement over top of it. It's the same issue on the Benstein Road. You see the $2,175? It's
Yeah.
just going 30 feet into the road, into Oakland County Road right-of-way to blend our pavement into theirs. That's all that is.
So over there on Benstein, we said, hey, let's not do that unless the catch basins are fixed.
I
because
understand that, yeah.
That one, there's no catch basins to fix, so we're
Just
saying,
a
hey,
straight-
we're gonna go ahead and pave it out to the road, not to the road right-of-way. The road right-of-way stops 30 feet short of the road.
Yeah, the
We
road
could
is
just pave
Center line
and
60
leave
feet either way.
right there,
Right.
the last 30 feet, as crummy as it is now, or we could just pave it up there and do it. And
So-
Oakland
I
County's
think
not gonna
Ron's
pay that.
saying it's only $2,175 to do
Right.
that 30 feet.
Yeah, let's do
It's a
that.
lot cheaper to do this than it is to put a new driveway in, right?
Cheaper than a
Here,
lot of
this is
things,
the area, this is the South Commerce Road one. That's from this right-of-way line right here. This is where the village line stops. Come around here and just do this area right here. Just that area right there is $2,200.
Well, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it makes sense to me too.
General consensus, let's do that one.
Mike, while you're there, the right turn lane from South Commerce onto Glengarry where the sinkhole is,
That sinkhole is right there.
yep. Is that part of this also?
I've taken prices on that. This is the area that that Oakland County has said that they believe they can come up with the funds to repair that area. Replace the curbing and bring that pavement back up. And that's my item number 2, I think somebody pointed out.
Yes.
Yep.
Repair dip in the curb?
Correct.
So I've been working our way backward on the list just because the easy stuff was at the end.
Yeah, so the.
But just to confirm, I think we've got agreement on, let's go all the way out to Glengarry.
Yeah,
Let's,
Now we're skipping extending the right turn lane.
Yeah, let's just talk about extending right turn lane, because it and repair right turn lane are both involved. So Oakland County's expressed the willingness to repair the dip in the curb.
But that doesn't affect our cost any. Chief, do
Well,
we have a...
it does affect the cost, because they would be giving us $5,000 back for that. I think.
No,
Nope.
no. They're gonna repair the part, but is 12,000,
12,170.
12,170. Chief, do
No.
we have a lot of problems there on that intersection?
Especially at least twice a day. First thing in the morning when you rush hour traffic, not quite so much because you don't have the right turn traffic onto Glengarry from South Commerce. However, after school, for about 25, 30 minutes, you have a lot of traffic, and what you find, thank you. What you'll find is they do try to pass on the right, they rub that curb, and there's a lot of, and that's probably where a lot of that sinkhole came from, is they're on that right edge, and it wears that pavement down, and that's where, if you look, there's a lot of coal patch through there, just from it washing away from the ruts being along the side of that dirt.
Okay.
I guess my question to Mike on this is, you talked to Oakland County, and their road engineers were okay with adding that right turn lane, expanding that up? Okay.
Yes.
So, and that's the one that they're not willing to actually
Pay
build,
for.
because they have no money to build.
Right.
But they're willing to pay the portion of it that would be repair for the damage that's already there, which I believe is the 5,250, correct?
That is correct.
So,
The 663 total, starting off, does that include that 5250, or does it
It
not?
does.
It does include
It does.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this is portions of what we already asked to be bid that we knew were in Oakland County right away, and we said, well, let's find out how much it is to get it
Okay.
done. And when we had this discussion last fall, last summer, whenever we started looking at these items, we said, hey, this would be an appropriate thing to see if Oakland County would reimburse us for, because it's really a flaw in their road, but it's right in the middle of where we're paving anyways.
And
So-
then that 7460, that's in addition to that 5250.
That is correct. That is taking the existing roadway that's there right now, milling 2 inches of the top surface off, and then as Glengarry Road's being done, it'll all be blended together,
Okay.
just up to the through lane. Does not include the through lane of South Commerce Road, just our right-hand turn lane and the slight taper to the south.
Mike, I want to ask you a question. I'm looking at, and I was doing some figuring at home. For the South Commerce Glengarry right turn lane, $12,000 seems a little high, or actually seems very high compared to some of the other things that we're having done over here, other paving,
Please.
going into South Commerce.
Yeah, there's a reason for that, because in order to, and you guys are in the same position that developers are in, when something's going to be done to a county road, they have standards that they want to use and they've been more and more conservative each year. Let's say it that way. So to fill in that little section of right-hand turn lane that's outlined in blue there, and that's what that $12,000 is. They want the gravel removed, and they want 9 inches deep of asphalt in that area,
Oh, God.
so that they know it's going to hold up. Now, you're absolutely correct. South Commerce Road doesn't come close to that. But that's the same requirement they put on developers. Whenever developers do anything in road rights-of-ways, that's the kind of stipulation they put on them. And so to improve that, they want it's called deep strength, 9-inch deep strength asphalt. No gravel or anything underneath it, just 9 inches of asphalt. Hence, substantially more costly.
And you know that's organic material below there.
It's all peat, and you know how I floated that. We designed all that right-hand turn lane and the new tapers, that's all floating on peat. So, be that as it is, that's what the county requires.
And even though the road and everything around it has only got 4 or 5 inches, we're stuck for 9?
Yes, sir, and I've
I
got to tell you,
wonder why they run out of
I've got to
money.
tell you, the same thing is true for the Clara Miller Park entrance.
Yeah.
It's their right-of-way. If you want to repair your entrance, you're going to do it the way they want, because they issue the permit, and the same cross-section's required there.
Thank you.
So let me make sure I'm clear on the numbers we have before us for that South Commerce right turn. So repairing the sinkhole, 5250. Hopefully Oakland County will repay us for that. To mill and repave the existing parts that are already paved there, that's 7,460. So essentially fixing what's there just so it's back up to standard. That is 12,710. Did Oakland County say they would pay for the repaving of the existing right-hand turn lane?
No.
No, okay. And if we want to expand that turn lane, so we don't have people going in, going out, creating a new sinkhole, all of that, that's 12,170. Total cost, if we expand it, is going to be 24,880, close enough to 25,000, but 24,880. If we only want to repair what's there, 12,710. And if we want to throw up our hands and say, good luck, village residents, maybe Oakland County will fix it one day, then nothing.
Correct.
But if we're confident, or how confident are you that we'd get the 5,200 back? Because then, 5,250, I'm sorry, then it drops, then it's repaired, it takes that whole right turn lane at just under 20,000, I got
Yep.
19,630.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And you asked me how confident? I'm just as confident as I am on the catch basins on the other end. I have no concept.
Yeah, I
The-
just
So,
feel uncomfortable.
that's a good question. Chief just asked me, the existing right-hand turn lane has a taper, and it has a shoulder next to that taper. Once you get to the lane, it is a curb line down through there. That's not the design, because if you put another curb, if you extend that right-hand turn lane and put a curb in there, now we have to put a catch basin in, storm sewer and everything else in order to catch all that stormwater. This is paving that taper in and out, to create that lane a little further, and then putting a gravel shoulder on the outside of that, just like it is now. So it is not a curb extended to the north.
You know, that, on the right side there, before it gets to the true right-hand turn lane, it is to accommodate traffic coming out on the other side of South Commerce. But you don't know that. I mean, I've done it myself numerous times, even to go there, that, you know, whatever, you move right over it, because it looks to be that way.
Especially if it's a dark night or something like that.
I think this is going to be an item where Ed and I are going to disagree on it. We're about to probably put another 400 residents up there coming down South
I was
Commerce.
gonna say the exact same thing. You're adding a lot more residents.
We have a lot of village residents coming through here.
And they're
It's a
gonna be
particular
going-
problem with the schools. I'd just like to see us fix that.
I agree.
I think so
totally agree.
too.
I agree.
Yes.
I don't have any problem with fixing it. I have a problem that the
We're doing
county
it.
says if you want to do it, open up your pocket to the tune of $40,000.
Well,
Ed,
no,
Ed,
not-
I-
not-
No,
not
it's
fully.
Well, okay, I'm talking about the other end too, so, but
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't want the other end, but,
it's $12,000 to
yeah.
make that a one-lane
right.
continuous.
Yeah, Ed, I think the point that
Yeah,
we're going to have to build that chunk to a higher standard than all the rest of that road is around it. I couldn't agree more. But if we want to do it, that's, I think, what we got to do. And I think that project, extending it out, is well worth it. It's going to be an improvement in traffic safety.
I also want to make sure that council's not confused as you come down. You know, Heron Hills has their decel lane and their XL lane coming out of theirs.
Yep.
Then there's another passing lane just south of there that allows people to pass around, and I apologize, I don't have it on this map, that allows people to pass on left-hand turns going into a subdivision to the east. Commerce Pines. And then it comes back out, and then there's another passing lane, so it wouldn't extend this lane all the way back to Heron Hills.
No.
It just extends it another
It's just
100
that-
feet or so.
That first bump out before.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to make sure. It's not a straight line all the way down. Now, Heron Hills, I'm sorry, Beechcrest is going to be doing some right-of-way improvements down near the intersection. And they're going to have to extend lanes themselves, and that's a whole different thing that's going to help out traffic near the intersection and across from the high school. But we are adding 400 new residents, you're right.
No, I agree, John, that based on the information that the chief has given us, that we all know it doesn't look right and it's a little bit dysfunctional, but, and if we're having that kind of a problem there, I think it's something we gotta take care of. I'm just irritated that, you know, if the rest of it was 9 inches, I could see it, but they got, everything else is so small, so what'll happen is the other part will settle and our 9 inches will rise up, but.
Ed, we find ourselves
Gotta
in
do it.
complete
Yep.
agreement that we gotta do it, and we're both irritated.
Yep.
Can I throw one more caveat in there? What about the new traffic signs that would have to go in, such as right turn only, things of that nature, that have to be addressed by the traffic engineer for Oakland County? Because our traffic engineer would not be responsible for the South Commerce traffic. So the signage is going to have to go in, the additional signage.
If we
Yeah.
did this is all gonna be legal, right?
I'm hoping so, that's why I'm
Yeah,
asking for the signage.
actually, in the permitting from Oakland County, they have in their signage amount, and they actually install that signage, and it is, you're right, right-hand turn only, and that keeps people, notifies people, if you're getting over here, don't think you're going to go through. You are going to make a right-hand turn, and that is going to be a requirement. But that's the only additional sign that they're asking for. And so that's...
I want a green arrow down there, too.
Okay, new budget.
Okay, let's get to the heavy stuff.
Okay, so that brings us to the big ticket item, the
We have a
amount of.
consensus here, though.
So it's consensus
I think
is
we've got,
yes.
yep.
25,000.
consensus here.
Yeah.
Yep. 25,000, hopefully 20,000 when we get reimbursed for the single. Okay, Glengarry Road shoulder. And I guess I would like to start by just disagreeing a bit with the way Ed characterized it is, hey, we're gonna build a shoulder because we want people to walk and bike on there. The point I would make is people are already walking and biking in that area. And I don't think that we're building a pathway here. I think we're just trying to give a little bit more room to what is currently a pretty dangerous situation. So that's why I would like to see us do some sort of expansion there. I believe our options that we could have is stay with 2 feet on either side, go with 3 feet on either side, go with 4 feet on either side, or potentially 2 feet on one side, 4 feet on the other. Are those pretty much the options we're talking about?
Yes, it certainly is.
And the 3 and 3 and 2 and 4 would probably be about half the cost of the 64,400.
Correct.
Okay, let me actually ask our captain about what he sees on the road when he gets down.
I was really hoping to have a better tracking on Glengarry. As you know, we had that sign that
Yep.
measures speed and it warns people that it's really helpful. It really wasn't helpful this winter much because most of the speeds were obviously below posted speed. I threw it up again on Monday to try to catch some of the more nicer weather traffic and see what the speeds were. I have 4 that were over 50, which really, I think 2 of those were Oakland County Sheriff's Department at 3 a.m. Going somewhere. But that's, I couldn't tell because of the lights. But your speeds, once you repave this, are going to increase. I want that sign out there right now to advertise what the speed limit is, and it's going to be necessary for extra enforcement. That being said, there is no good way to get from our bike path down by Oakview to our path, our walking path up here at the park. I don't know that it would be in the village's best interest to expand the shoulders as much as it would be to create a path and keep the roads to the 2-foot shoulders. I've thought about this, and it could go one way or the other. Either they're going to use them or they're not going to use them. But I think if we gave an opportunity to have a asphalt path along the shoulder on the on the south side of Glengarry, through the front, here in front of the department, up through the footpaths, I think we would be better off. Now, I understand it still doesn't take us down to Benstein, but even the kids that live down by Benstein, I find some of them are actually walking down the footpaths and then coming up Woodlawn or Rose Lawn and cutting across and going back into Commerce. So they don't want to walk that way anyway. It's very dangerous, and obviously you see the kids walking. But with this footpath out here, it's really helped. It's eliminated a lot of it. And I think we can I think it'd only be in our best interest if we did have a designated footpath off the road.
So, probably good time to go up to the map.
Well, essentially, you're saying,
I have this, John.
suggesting limiting this shoulder to 2 feet then.
Yeah. leave it as is.
And putting the bike path.
And using that money, using that extra money
Right.
for a bike, or a
Right, exactly.
path. And you
Yep.
can't necessarily call it a bike path.
So we've got basic path.
Safety lane, not a bike path.
No.
No.
Municipal Drive, we actually have a basic path up to here.
Up to there.
What I'd like to see is the path continue down in front of the village hall here, up to
Just before
There
Collins.
where, okay,
right,
there where it
right
comes across.
where it
Got
comes
right.
across, and continue down. Because obviously here, it would be actually right across from Mustin Drive. Or actually, we already, we have it
We have a
currently.
little bit there, and then it crosses, okay,
It crosses
yeah.
right,
Between Campo and South Colors?
but a little further.
And so.
Oh, is it up?
It goes from Columbus west.
No, he's talking.
But I think if we widen the road, it's gonna just invite opportunity for
I think,
people to do
I
that.
think you're
Okay,
right
what
up here, if
about
we
to the right
widen
of
up
the dam?
here.
Well, there's no
My-
path across
My
there.
concern is really this part.
Well, the bike
here.
path-
People don't go there, John. They
There's
just
no
drop
bike path
south
all
through
the
the
way to Tampa.
subdivision and they get
It
to the
does not
park.
go beyond
They
Tampa.
cut it right across through here.
So,
cut
yeah,
right
between
out-
Tam-
right
there's no
across
bike
Mosquito.
path between
Even
Tampa
if they
and
go
Commerce.
across to Fisher or
South Carolina, is that what you're
Rosemont,
asking?
Yeah.
Woodlawn across that way.
So you're seeing generally pretty good coming in here,
Yes.
not as much.
Not as
in
much here.
Okay.
The people you see are walking from these subdivisions over here down at this party store or down at Dairy Twist, and you're not gonna stop that. Even if you put in a walk on the north side, they're still coming from Commerce side.
Yeah, oh, I
So-
understand that, I'm just saying, I see people walking in here.
Yeah, well, they come from the north side of Glengarry, and that, for us to put in a bike path or a walking path, I still don't think it's gonna solve the problem that you see on that side.
And I definitely.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So.
I think you could
we would
limit
be
your bike
talking
path.
about paving from here up to.
Oakview.
Oakview. That, I think, is all pretty clear right of way.
It
I
is.
had about 17 trees that may have to be taken down, but
They're down
I
here.
actually looked at them, and I've got them pictorially as well. I believe there's enough room to wind in and out a little bit of those trees. We have some ditch line we have to work on, but if you look on my page 2, you're really debating between item number 2,
And
the
item one.
pathway from Oakview and Columbus, about 54,000, and the difference of the
Yeah.
4-foot shoulder all the
Which
way
is
down
60.
to 60 foot.
Mr. President, I more than once spoke of this idea. One thing I want to reiterate was that 10, 15 years ago, when we started all this pathway stuff, the whole idea was the pathway was to get people off the road, to get people going through the community, or putting paths in to get them out of harm's way. And that's another reason I think this is a good idea. My only other suggestion would be, and I don't think would be that costly though, if we're gonna put in a pathway like that, that would start actually at Tampa, right?
Oakview, we already have it from Tampa to Oakview now.
Okay, right. Would we want to extend it to South Commerce?
Yeah, I'm thinking
I
the same
think we
thing,
should
Ed.
extend it to South Commerce, for the simple reason is that,
But there's nowhere to go from there, Ed.
well,
There's
I'm
gonna
not
be.
so much
Yeah,
going,
no.
but people that, students and kids, I mean, people
Yeah.
that walk that, at least in our community, we've made the effort to get people off the road and onto a safer method of foot or bike path. you know, I can't believe that in all these years that I've lived here, that east side of South Commerce, where all those kids walk home from school and to school, and cars going by 45, has never had a sidewalk in it. But,
And it's certainly the area that we're looking at concentrating on with Commerce and
yeah,
Walt Lake.
and I would
in
think that as
area.
long as we're gonna have the equipment there and do it, you know, it's still gonna be in our, I can't believe it's gonna be an extensive amount, because you're going by only one house, and the rest of it is just that vacant little quarter there.
Yeah.
It's being built, it would be built in the right of way. We're not
Yep.
looking to get any easements. So it's, you have your gravel shoulder, and you have that pathway after the gravel shoulder is about where
Yeah.
you're looking to put it.
There is that one house on Glengarry between Tampa and South Commerce.
That one faces Tampa, the next one faces Glengarry,
Yeah.
but
I
everything's
agree with
within
you,
the
Ed.
easement.
That little strip there, let's connect it if you're
Yeah,
gonna do it.
I think we should.
I agree.
So, I think we're gonna come to some pretty good consensus here. Let me just go back down towards the west end of Glengarry. That's the area where we've already got a lot of large tree growth that would constrain our ability to really widen out to 4 feet anyways. Is
Yeah,
that
if we
correct?
widen to 4 feet, it'd be right on the edge of, the existing gravel shoulder drops right down into a ditch line there, and that's where the pavement would be dropped off if we did that.
Yep.
That's correct.
Can you point out where Columbus is on that map? I mean, how far down does that go?
Yeah, the existing, of course, Oakview is here.
Yeah.
Columbus is right here.
Oh.
And the pathway actually extends right back up in this way, just to the east of Columbus, right in through here. Right there, there's the pathway that comes in.
As you come out of the park, you parallel South Commerce, and then there's
Yeah.
a sign,
Yeah.
and it's painted the road for walking or biking
Yeah.
across.
Yeah.
So,
And then, okay, and then,
Okay.
where's the Vita Trail then? That starts,
Vita Trail
Right after-
actually
right
is
after
Right
that?
right here.
Uh-huh.
Just west of it.
so if we extend,
Oh, yeah.
You
so
got a
if we,
stagehand.
so if we extend the extra bit from Oakview to South Commerce,
Well, this
so-
is
well,
already,
actually,
this
that-
is
that
already
part's already
done.
done, so it's really just that little bit.
From Tampa to South
Tampa
Commerce.
to South Commerce. We're talking probably about $10,000 or so,
Pro rata, in that range.
in that range.
Correct.
Not an exact, we'd have to
Correct.
take a look.
Which puts us about static.
Yeah.
Yep.
It makes nice math having the 54 plus the 10 equals 64, right?
Yeah.
I know what
So
you're
it-
thinking.
I mean,
Because it seems silly to have no pavement, then sidewalk, then no sidewalk,
Yeah.
then sidewalk, you know.
I think I'm in agreement with what it sounds like we'd like here, which is, let's get Pathway, Palomas, all the way to South Commerce. The other extended area where less foot traffic right now anyways, and more difficult to expand, let's just do that 2 feet for now. Well, actually, I mean, the whole thing becomes 2 feet, because that's.
On
where
both
we go.
sides.
So we go 2 feet on the road, we get Pathway off the road for that extra bit of it.
Yep. I think that's a great idea.
And just so that you plan for future bike paths, we currently have a bike path all the way down to the entrance going into Heron Hills. This section down here is so wet, we're really looking at boardwalk if we had to do that, and that's substantially more expensive. So the pathway should be on the east side of South Commerce Road there and not the west side
And
of
then
South
people can
Commerce Road.
cross by
And then there would be
Yeah.
a crossing at the light, right there.
Yeah, and that's what we've discussed in that
Correct.
pathway committee too. Okay, so I think we've got consensus there on that item.
Does that sort of replace item 1, the 64-4,
So, yeah, so,
on the first page?
yep, Glengarry pathway, but instead of between Oakview and Palomas, it would actually be between South Commerce and Palomas.
Almost, yeah.
And it comes out at about the same, 64,
Yep.
65,000.
Okay, so that sort of replaces the other one, and we're gonna leave the shoulders 2 foot on both sides.
Leave the shoulders 2 foot on both sides.
Fine.
Which brings us to the last item, not included in the road portion of it, and in fact, it's not a road item, it is a pavement item that we'd like to also do. Repave the Vita Trail, which is getting in pretty poor repair, and we're putting some investments around that. And redo the Vita Trail parking lot, which is also in fairly poor
bad.
repair these days.
I have a question, is the road fund money, Mike, can we, like, Ed suggested we can use it for something else? That's not always the case.
Well, certainly not for the paving of, or repaving of the lot itself, but believe it or not, you're actually encouraged under the state law to spend a certain amount every year on non-motorized pathways. And as long as they're contiguous with, in our case, Glengarry here, it's a perfectly legitimate expense that can be borne in the major street fund.
So we have a lot of latitude
so
in terms of
that's-
using these funds
Oh,
for
yes.
for the parking lot or anything, right?
I will have to ask, if worst comes to, in the worst-case scenario, if we don't get reimbursed on any of the things related to South Commerce, I might have to do a little digging on that. It's anything that's not our road, we're going to have to bear that expense. But, the pathway certainly is. We used a lot of major road funds, if you recall, on the existing pathway that we have there by the dam.
Yeah.
So, and I think we do have at least a little bit of tri-party fund that we can expend on this as well.
Can we use that funding that you and I had conversed about for something like this in parks? I mean, as far as.
No,
the
no,
fire
I looked into that one. It's actually more for programming and other things with parks.
Okay.
It's not a pathway grant.
Okay. I didn't know because it was in a park as opposed to along the
No,
roadway.
it's not that sort of grant.
Okay.
We're already spending some money on the equipment there. We've had discussion about it. I think I would like to see us do that additional work as well.
When you talk about, are you talking about the bike path that's existing through the,
Yeah, yeah, the existing
now
bike
you're
trail.
talking about all the way to,
I apologize. We want to make sure that we're talking correctly. The existing multi-jurisdictional pathway that was put in back in the 80s,
90s.
Okay, I'm not that old, 90s.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry, you're right.
That goes from Glengarry Road out to Benstein Road and over to Wixom. That is not what we're talking about. This is the Vita Trail, the circular pathway around in the treed areas there. The wood chip path. That would be paving that pathway, not redoing the existing paving.
okay, help
More
me
like a
here. It
track.
says Vita Trail paving.
Yes.
So the Vita Trail, not the multi-jurisdictional.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So that's the one we're talking about.
That's not paved now, that's what.
No, I understand that.
The that's one that goes along the fences, right? It goes away
Yes.
from
Right.
Glengarry.
Yes.
The Vita Trail goes through the woods, kind of, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one that's in that little park,
Yeah.
Yes.
that we're gonna have.
In the wooded area
equipment
there,
And all that
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, but the equipment's not gonna be in the woods,
No.
No.
so,
It's
Now,
a
how wide
quarter,
will
it's a
that
quarter
path be,
mile,
Mike?
a track. It's like a track.
That pathway is approximately 2,200 lineal feet.
But I mean, how wide?
Oh, 6 feet is what I'm proposing. And quite frankly, the pathway along Glengarry Road, I've only got it 6 feet as well. It's not 8 feet, just a 6-foot wide pathway.
We don't have to deal with any kind of drainage or anything along that?
No.
No,
That's what I'm
it drains very well, correct.
I'd say we ought to go ahead with the Vita Trail paving. And the other question is about the parking lot.
Yeah, I would we don't have a price on the parking lot yet, do we?
Yes.
We do, it's actually
12,000.
12,065.
12?
Yep.
Well, we're spending a heck of a lot of money all in one chunk and stuff.
$52,000 on a Vita Trail and
And everybody, and the equipment's out there, getting the equipment to the job is part of the problem. But as long as, if we're gonna put that, that little park there has been non-existent for so long, and then we got the equipment coming that'll be installed this year, that, I don't know if we'd want to put that in first and then the equipment, or let them get the equipment in and then pave it. But this is not in conjunction with Cadillac, is this?
This is Cadillac.
Cadillac would do this for us, yep.
So in other words, all this has to be done at one particular time?
It will be done as part of the entire paving program, so their paving machines are here, all their trucks are here, their equipment's here, their dozers, all their backhoes, everything will be here.
Yeah, it's kind of while we've got them staged
Yeah.
out here.
Because I know if they use a smaller dump truck, and they have the smaller paving machines, that they could do 6 feet. and
Correct.
pass. I mean, they don't,
The biggest part about it is, I've been out here 30 years. I have never walked through that woods, and so I don't
drive
know,
across it.
I don't know how wide it is to get,
I don't know
okay,
about width, but you
okay,
can-
good.
And I think the other thing
It's
that,
not one or the other.
that we learned on
I
that
know, but do we have the money?
multi-jurisdictional
If we were
path
gonna skip anything, we would
is
skip that and do
something
that.
for
I
future,
have a
either
question
the
about
people
how-
that are putting it in or the
how-
DPW, but
23
if you're next to a
23
tree, you have to
I'm gonna ask
take
where that goes on
a
there.
ditch and go along the side there and break those roots off that are going underneath the road, because anybody who uses the bicycle path trail, that, you know, there are some trees that were only 2 or 3 feet away, and, you know, you don't want to knock them down, but if you take, and the roots grew in any way, we had to repair that more than once, so, you know, just a preventative thing, but, yeah, you know, as long as we get it all for one, what's the difference if we pay for it this year or next year?
That's what I was gonna ask. I can't remember, what was our total amount that we had in the major road fund?
Well, we're gonna spend a lot less than Mike asked us to the first time he was here. So I look at that, we're ahead.
You have well over $800,000 in cash and investments that we could use for that.
Okay.
We're getting very close to that.
That's 660, isn't it?
No, well, this would be in addition
You know,
to the
power
six-
windows, air
660.
conditioning.
That's
I
Vita
have a
Trail.
question. Can you,
Windows, meals.
can you show me on the map where the Vita Trail, where that is? I know it goes into the woods from the parking
710,
lot.
715 right now.
It's this light line here that comes around, comes through the woods, and then it actually has an interior loop on it as well. So it comes out here, comes this way, and then has an interior loop in here as
Well,
well.
what you're talking about on the south side, that's the
Multi-juris.
This is the multi-jurisdictional. It's run nice and straight, all the way
Yeah.
down here like this, like that.
and
This
so
is-
the
this
Vita
is-
Trail would run very close to that.
Well, it's a loop inside
It's a loop.
It's a loop inside,
It's
there.
like
It's
a
like a
track.
running, instead of an oval track. it's
I
a-
know, but not to cut you off, I mean, I realize that, but it's 2,300 feet. So it's that loop through the woods, basically, that's it.
Well,
See, if we get the money back in both these instances from the county, even then, we're at, if we move forward on both the parking lot and the Vita Trail, we're at 703,000
About
plus, right
700,
there.
About 700.
Yeah, so if we don't get it back, we're at 715, which is, you know, granted, we have the funds, it's 800,000, but.
But, you know, I mean, we have other paving projects we want to do in the future. It's not like the rest of the roads are, you know, perfect in the village.
I think
lagoons
Mike
could be-
might want to explain something, because some of this work, I don't think, can be covered by the major road fund.
Yeah, the Vita Trail paving could not, nor could the, any prospective paving of the parking lot. The only local road fund use would be the Oak Island situation, and then some of the other things, as I said earlier, you know, maybe I can get away with, maybe I can't, I don't know, but any non-motorized pathway along a road right-of-way that is our road, which Glengarry is, we can use major road funds for that, any expenses associated
And the
with
Vita
then we've
Trail,
got the
the
Vita
Vita
Trail-
Trail
Vita
Trail is
qualifies
not.
for that.
No.
it. Vita Trail is not.
No,
Vita Trail is not.
We have the tri-party
The
funds that are
pathway-
available also, though, for,
Those wouldn't be Vita Trail.
no, I don't mean,
Yeah.
but
But we can use
that
it as
will
part of
defray
it.
some of the
As
costs
part of that.
involved over on the McCoy
Well,
side.
you know, I think after a long discussion, I'm starting to talk myself out of paving the Vita Trail.
I'm kind of that way, and here I am, Park and Rec. I've just wondered, you know, once all that old Vita Trail equipment, I haven't been over there recently, is it still up or is it gone? You know, we've
Some
talked.
of it's there, but we'll be
It-
taking
it's
that
going
out.
to be
I
gone.
mean, if all the stuff that we're talking about doing, I agree with every single thing, and I would even rather than to spend our money, you know, $40,000 to do that, put it towards your extension on your building. I think it's gonna be a lot more use. I mean, I think once we do I think there's a cement pad we're talking about with all the exercise equipment. I think that's a big enough draw for now in that area. I really, personally, for $40,000, I don't see the draw in paving.
Well, I'd like to see how many people are gonna utilize it first too. I mean, right now, it's not being utilized.
Yeah.
You know, if it
I
was
don't
well
see it.
maintained and
Yeah,
wood
that's a
chips
good-
and so on, it
You know,
lends
that's a
itself
good
more to
point.
that sort of thing
That's a
anyway,
good point.
really.
Once we get the equipment up there and we see that people are utilizing that and they're
In a
going
year or
out
two, maybe we
there,
wanna pave it.
then you pave it so people can, you know, and the other thing is, we might have enough, asphalt that we can put,
I could
you know, the
spread that
asphalt
down.
millings, to put that down as a.
You
I don't know
you
if
could
that-
easily do that.
Yeah.
Then you'd have to decide, if you drop it there, would you want the DPW to actually move it to that location and spread it, or do you want,
After a while,
it- millings are a great pathway material.
but you gotta use it, like, you can't let it sit for 6 months.
You can't let it sit. You'd have to put it in
Right
place
now.
and roll it, because otherwise it firms right up.
Yep.
Well, maybe we could take a look at some of,
That might
you know,
make
some,
sense.
at some of the other options around it, either millings or, you know, a little bit
Yeah.
of new gravel or a little bit of new
But
wood chips or
I can see
something.
holding off on the paving.
Mhm.
Let's get all the
Okay.
equipment in and
Yep.
get the pads in, because that's why I asked before, do we want to do the asphalt first before the equipment's in? But
Okay, what about the parking lot? What did we decide on the parking lot?
hold off on that.
Hold off on that too?
I think so.
The only reason I might suggest not is because
Yeah.
the exact same process that you're using on the road, same milling machine, same everything, it will be there, and so you'll save all that mobilization, and you are using the lower cost asphalt for that, because it's just straight
I thought we were
paving
gonna make
machine.
that parking lot bigger.
No,
That was not my
No, that-
No, this,
direction.
this would just be
'Cause I-
repaving the parking lot.
I could see doing the parking lot.
Well, I'll
Yeah, I
tell you
think
what,
I'd like to
I
see
do
it.
see
I'd
a
like to
lot
see
of
the
people
market.
parking in that parking lot too.
Okay,
It gets a lot of
especially
use.
if
so.
the new equipment gets in there, you're probably gonna see it too.
We would hopefully see a little bit there.
Yeah.
Gives us a spruced up entrance to it.
Yep. I'd say yes for the parking lot, no for the trail.
I'd agree with that.
Okay.
Okay, I think I see general consensus on that item.
And then I'm going to get a price from Cadillac to take some of those millings. They'll have the paving machine. See if they can't just drop those millings right in their paving machine and go right along the Vita Trail and drop those millings in a 7 foot wide pathway right in the Vita Trail. That's zero material
Let's
cost,
see if it's under
just a
3,000
paving
bucks.
machine use. And I'll get you a price on that.
Give them a few bucks to have their roller go around.
Yeah,
like a couple-
See if it's
Yeah,
under the
a
3
Big
grand
Mac,
they're gonna
right?
give us back for dumping it.
$40,000.
Okay, so I think that brings us to consensus on what we'd like to see from this. So let me go through the memo now from the beginning, just to make sure we've got all the items.
Go.
So, repaving Glengarry Road, we would like to see 2-foot shoulder. Repair right turn lane on South Commerce Road, yes. Hopefully we get some repayment from Oakland County on the dip in the curb. Extending the right-hand turn lane, yes. Again, it may be an area where we could use tri-party funds if we don't use them all on the McCoy section. Resurfacing Glengarry Road only to the South Commerce right-of-way line.
It's
We-
actually a no.
That's actually a no, because we want to surface it out into the intersection. Benstein Road repairs, yes, pending confirmation from Oakland County that they'll reimburse us for the catch basins, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to do it. It would be better to hold off, get the catch basins fixed later and pave it then. Clara Miller Park entrance, yes. McCoy Road pathway, yes. Also potentially subject to tri-party funds. Glengarry Road pathway, yes, and we would like to actually see it, not just between Oakview and Palomas, but between South Commerce and Palomas.
Yes, correct.
Vita Trail paving, no. Vita Trail parking lot, yes. Oak Island Drive repairs, yes. So I think when we add all of that up, it brings us to
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
the 663 plus more or less, given the little extension there, plus the Vita Trail parking lot, which is another 12. So we end up at around 675 for the full project, some of which the parking lot's gonna have to come out of general fund. We may get some tri-party funds from I think we have about 20,000 in tri-party funds that we may be able to apply to the things that are in county right away. And we will hopefully collect in about 10,000 for the Oakland County road repairs that would be made under this project.
Well, that's still pending, but we might get 5250 back on the right turn lane.
Right, well,
That's our goal.
getting both of them, I think we're hoping for both of them. Yeah, we're gonna spend, the right-hand turn lane we're gonna do regardless. The catch basins we're gonna do if they reimburse us. Okay.
Do you want a motion on this?
Yeah, do we feel we've captured it well enough that I could say I would like a motion to proceed with the 2013-2014 road maintenance as discussed? Sure. Motion Nedrow, second Sinkowitz.
Are we gonna throw a number in there?
Approximately,
Approximately in the area
not to
of?
exceed.
I don't want to do it not to exceed because it's a unit cost one, so it becomes a little tricky and we don't have exact numbers on a couple of the other items.
Yeah, we're ballparking at $10,000.
I would say I would say as discussed with an expected cost of about $675,000 total.
Okay.
I seconded your motion.
We can easily keep you informed as well. This isn't going to be done in a week and a half. So as we get into it, we'll have progress reports to be able to report back to council.
So we're taking an actual vote now to facilitate that expenditure right now against a estimate, right?
Against the contract that we approved.
We already approved that last
We already,
time.
so we already approved the
He has the
contract.
cost.
We've changed the scope of the project. I mean, I'm for it, I was trying to.
But it's a
clarify.
unit cost,
It's unit cost.
it's a unit.
It's unit cost in-
Contract, so we can add or delete
All right,
based upon that
okay,
contract value.
all right.
This is our best estimate of the costs, but could be hidden costs, or we could go in and actually end up coming under the
Yeah,
cost.
good. All right.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
Both things are possible.
I know this has taken a long time, but I feel really good about everything we decided to do.
Well,
I really.
I think it's a great idea
I-
to put the millings down on the Vita Trail.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
that
mean, this
accomplishes
is-
something there. If we go to,
And we got
do
some
go
pathways
and
out of
pave
it.
down the
I
road,
mean,
that serves as a base already.
This is
so-
really good. I feel really comfortable with this. I'm really happy with it.
No, I think this was a good discussion.
Yeah.
That we could have, because we really have all the numbers in front of us.
Thank you, Mike.
No,
for all
my
your work.
pleasure.
So that is, by the way, the motion to proceed with the items as discussed with an expected cost of approximately $675,000. Further discussion on the motion? I'll ask for a roll call vote on this one.
Gumbo?
Yes.
Nedrow?
Yes.
Sinkowitz?
Yes.
Nagy?
Yeah.
McGee?
Yes.
Chesney?
Yes.
Right. Thank you, council. Thank you, Mr. Powell. Thank you, everybody who
Thanks, Mike.
who's
Nice
helped.
job.
This one's been a long time working
Thank you
through.
for your patience with me not being here last time as well. I was enjoying myself too much to be here last meeting.
Yeah, that's been noted.
Yeah. I kind of feel like you should just have to drive home tonight with your
She
windows
looked
down.
awful
as a
unhappy that
penalty.
she wasn't with her parents.
Okay, I think that's it for item C2. Anything else on reports or recommendations from the engineer? Seeing none, let's move on to item E, request from Captain Ellsworth to purchase 5 new tasers from Michigan Taser Distributing.
Just real quick,
Microphone.
Where's your mic?
He's got the mic right there.
it was
Close.
close. Just real quick, these 5 tasers, what we've been doing is, there's 5 of us that work full-time. We've been sharing 4 tasers, and then we were sharing 3 tasers. And then we bought a 4th one with forfeiture funds a few years ago, and so we had 4 tasers generally that we use. These are, even the one we recently bought, that was in, what did we say, Mike, 99? So these are well over 10 years old. We've replaced batteries in them a few times. They're getting to where they are probably not quite as reliable as they should be for emergency personnel use. And when we need them, we actually need them. The technology that's improved so much, a lot of it is digital. These are old analog. That being said, I've asked for 5 new ones. I'd like to issue 1 for each officer. We're going to keep the ones, I actually had them take out of the quote. They wanted to give me $150 each for the other ones to turn in. I think they're going to be worth more than that for us to keep and use. We can assign them to our part-time personnel, and the full-time personnel can use the new ones. The forfeiture funds we've had for many years. We've maintained right around $15,000, I think. I think it's a little bit more than that right now. We've not used it for anything other than I think we purchased one taser. And that was, like I say, many years ago. I would like to use our forfeiture funds towards that as a non-budgeted item. I just think that with some of the problems we're coming up with now, we want to make sure we do have these available to us. And I did some research when I was at the conference, and they came down actually in price from when we first purchased them. So I think we'll be in good shape with the ones we have now. 4 or 5 of them with the holsters and the shipping handling, the tactical performance, they call it a power magazine. It's a battery. Everything comes into $4,941.03, I think, if my eyes don't deceive me.
Chief, will the old ones still be used until they die, or?
Yep, we plan on keeping
Are you
them in
gonna raffle
service.
them
We're
off?
going to, no, we're not going to raffle them off. We're going to actually keep them in service and use them for our part-time and reserve officers when we do have time for, like July 3rd and things like that, when we are actually out there and everybody is out there. So, because right now, we have to pick and choose who's going to have them, and I want 2 on one side of the lake and 2 on the other side of the lake. This is going to eliminate that. This is going to really help us out. And for the amount of money we can get for turning them in, I'd rather keep them and use them here.
Is there a certification process that they go through?
There is, and Sergeant Cunningham was a certified trainer. He has to go back through the recertification again, and these are not the deluxe models, as it were. We try to keep it as standard as possible. Wixom improved to the new, they actually have where you can shoot people twice with the same taser without having to worry about, we're not going through all that. There's so much more training that is involved in that, and it's much more expensive. We want to keep it simple, and that's why we chose to, with the improvements that they've made, there's not going to be any difference in handling, so it's that much less in training. So
Now, these will start a car if the battery's dead, right?
it will probably start your heart, Ed, but it won't start the car. No, actually, they're a great tool. I think we've used them 4 times in the 12, 13 years we've had them. We just don't use them, which is good. They're a great deterrent. Somebody sees a red dot on your chest, you generally want to
Hear the word
comply.
taser, that's usually enough to discourage
Yeah,
somebody.
and that's okay. So that's why I want to kind of keep them in our arsenal, so.
All right, I think I'm about to hear a motion
Yes,
from
I would like
Ed.
to make a motion as presented by our chief to purchase the 5 new tasers at a cost of $4,941.67.
Motion Sinkowitz, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second Cumbo, further discussion?
Okay, question, Captain, do we want to buy a 6th one? Because you were talking in one of the past meetings about possibly increasing the police force. I mean, some of your suggestions, just to, instead of have these old ones around as a backup, I realize that, but maybe in case, so at least you can always have 5 good ones, maybe 6 if you need them, new ones for your force.
I'm not going to put the cart before the horse, and what I would kind of like to do is, I will incorporate that into the new uniform and equipment for a new officer, the cost, if that does
All right.
happen. So
I didn't know if it was economical now to buy a 6th one
I
and have
can,
it available.
I'm sure I could sweet talk this guy into giving me the same deal
All right,
for an extra one if we need to.
okay.
Mr. President, do we also need to include in that motion as far as amending the budget?
Is that a separate motion?
I think we can include that as a friendly motion and to amend the budget to reflect that this purchase comes from forfeiture funds.
I think that gets you what you need.
You're fine
Yep.
there.
Okay.
And it's all under one
Thank
motion.
you.
Creative
Yep,
accounting.
all one motion. Not even creative. Genuine real. Rather dull accounting, really. Okay, any further discussion on that motion? Roll call vote?
Nagy,
Yes.
Tesnecki,
Yes.
Combo,
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Sinkowitz.
Yes.
McGee.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item G, Cliff Cottrell Memorial Policy. Well, the recommendation from the admin committee is before you. We had some discussion of that. We're gonna have a little further discussion on some of the other things that we do to recognize people, but essentially when it comes down to it, that award, a member of the board that decides it being nominated for it is potentially troublesome. We had some indications of that before. It's really, it just leads us down paths that are better not to go down. And so, let's not have any nominations of active council members for the award. You get off council, that's the time to nominate somebody, really.
Mr. President, there seems to be a council person that doesn't know the difference between determination and tenacity for bullying. For that reason, since this was all brought up around me, I am going to abstain from voting.
Do I hear a motion to permit Mr. Sinkowitz to abstain from this vote?
So moved.
Motion Nagy, do I hear a second?
Sure.
Second Nedrow. I think that's appropriate,
Yeah.
given the background of this one, so. Any further discussion on that, oh, wait, so, motion to abstain. Did I take the vote? All in favor of the motion to permit Sinkowitz to abstain? Yes.
Yeah, aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Back to the original discussion point. Do I hear a motion to accept the administrative committee's recommendation that we add item 3 under criteria for the Cliff Cottrell Memorial Policy as number 3, sitting members of council shall not be eligible for nomination?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion Cumbo, second Nagy. Further discussion on that?
I guess, not on that, I do have a question, but, do we need to have a vote to,
Abstain?
A sitting member can abstain from voting at any time, can't they?
Right.
Do we need it, was that motion necessary?
My understanding is that motion is necessary.
It is
We have to,
necessary,
we have to
Yes.
actively permit somebody. Oh,
Yes.
Really?
that's good. We have our attorney here.
I forgot about it.
All right, thank you for the clarification, I did not know that, so.
You do have to vote on that.
Regarding the current motion, I don't have any questions on my motion.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. Brings us to item H, second call to the public, opportunity for citizens to address the council regarding any and all village business. Mr. Makowski. And if somebody would please hand him the microphone.
Yeah, Gene Matkowski, 670 Wolverine Drive. Those of you that live in the village know what a good job our DPW did again with the snow. I have to give credit to all those drivers, not only our own, but the county drivers, the amount of time that they spent working. And I know some people are going to say, yeah, but they're getting overtime for that. But some of those drivers have been working 16, 18 hours a day. Our guys are always good. And again, I'm grateful that we have them. But I think that everybody did a good job. So I'd like to express my thanks to them.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, I will close the second call to the public. That brings us to item J, and you will notice we have an awful lot of items following J. In fact, we have items J through HH reflect, they have to be listed as individual items. These are all of the updates to reflect changes in state law for planning and the State Planning and Enabling Act. We asked our attorney to go through, rewrite so that we're in compliance. What I would really like to hear before we start on item J is a motion to introduce the ordinances listed in items J through HH.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Nedrow.
Second.
Second Nagy. Discussion. Okay, thank you. That's the motion I wanted, just so administratively we can deal with the whole discussion as need be. Now that we're there and we're ready to kind of go through the list, I thought I would ask our attorney to call out to us if there are any items in these ordinances that, merit special attention from us.
The biggest changes that you'll see are the language regarding foster care facilities, adult group homes, daycare facilities. There were some special provisions in the new zoning enabling law that gave special protection, really kind of dissected what was previously one definition into 10 different definitions and gave them special protection. So your ordinances now reflect that. You have an updated subdivision ordinance in here. Your subdivision ordinance was from the 50s, I think.
Right.
I mean, a lot of these different chapters kind of cross-reference each other, so they're very repetitive. Like the foster care language you're going to see in many different sections here, but it's really just cleaning it up.
We didn't have
Bringing
anything
it in
for
compliance.
conditional zoning prior.
Oh yeah, the conditional rezoning. So I think everyone, maybe not everyone's on. We had a conditional rezoning case that over there on the curve that wanted
The one
to
that
do
they wanted to potentially be an auto.
right,
Mhm.
right. And we had put together a policy at the time, but we never really amended your ordinance because
Right.
didn't know that there would be much more requests for that. But it's good to update that and have all that codified now in your ordinances. So
Jen?
next month you'll see 4 more ordinances that have a lot more substantive changes in them regarding the accessory structures and outdoor storage, some of those things that. But we had to get all this cleaned up first. So.
Right. Ed?
Yeah, reading through some of these, the foster care and adult facilities and all that stuff, is this just cleaning up language, or is it making, giving the village more control over where and when these, and if these places can be put in?
You actually have less control now. The state has
Okay.
really kind of announced how these types of uses will be regulated, and you don't have a choice. So what you had in your zoning ordinance really was.
It wasn't pertinent to what.
You
what's
couldn't,
on
you couldn't
on the
apply
books
your
right now.
regulations.
Because I know years back, we Commerce and Wolverine Lake went together on the one over here that's on the other side of South Commerce as a commerce thing, and kind of pulled everybody in together on that, but
Yeah.
I didn't know if this was, so actually we're losing authority.
It's just becoming more restrictive in what you can do with, you have to allow these uses in all of your residential zoning districts now. There's no, you can't prohibit these types of uses anymore.
A lot of this is just bringing our ordinance, our zoning and planning ordinances up to state standards.
Right, it used to be each type of community, a village, a city, and a township had its own
Yeah, that's right.
zoning laws, had its own state zoning laws. And in 2008, I think it was, they came up with the state came up with a master zoning enabling act. And now all communities are regulated under the same legislation. You don't have to go look, depending on what type of community you're in anymore. And there was a lot of modification of it, and since then there's been changes to it as well. But this just cleans up all your zoning ordinance and brings it into compliance with the state law. Very necessary.
And really, we're not so much losing particular pieces of control as we already had through the state legislative process anyways.
Right, as soon as they decided that
Yep.
as soon as those laws went into effect, you lost that control. This doesn't do any, it's just.
This
just
just
changes.
recognizes
This
where.
just recognizes, oh yeah, we lost that control about 5 years ago.
What we still have. Okay, any further discussion on the motion?
It was great reading.
It's exciting stuff.
Oh, yeah, I fell asleep about 3 times.
I literally did fall asleep reading one of them. Seeing no further discussion, let me get a roll call vote.
McGee,
Yes.
Daddy,
Yes.
Chesnecki,
Yes.
Trumbo,
Yes.
Nedra,
Absolutely.
Sigley.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Okay, that brings us to item II. Boy, that was the quickest page and a half of agenda I have ever moved us through. 2 pages, really. Oh my God, yeah, 2.5 pages of agenda. Item II, site plan approval, SPR 1401, Redwood Acquisitions LLC. This is the Redwood development up in the Panhandle. Just so everybody's clear on this, we don't really have anything to do per se as far as a motion. We can't, it's planning commissions to approve the site plan, which they have done subject to the things. But I thought it was a good idea to have it on the agenda, make everybody aware of where we are, let folks ask questions about what's going in there if they want. And yeah, Brian's probably the best person to talk about it.
Well, as John said, that they'd come before us last month, and we did approve basically conditional site plan. They actually came to us a couple months ago and gave us a preliminary. And they had some issues they had to work through with the planner and the engineer and Commerce Township Fire Department, and I think Oakland County Roads. And they're in the process of finalizing some of that stuff, but essentially what they did is they came up with a pretty nice plan, and I know a lot of people's concerns on council and community was how they were gonna address some of the concerns with Heron Hills. And there wasn't anybody at the last meeting, planning commission meeting from Heron Hills. I mean, Redwood came up, stepped up to the plate, and I think they did a great job at addressing all the concerns there. They blended the architecture to some degree into Heron Hills for the buildings that were adjacent. If you recall, the one building that was to the northwest side of Heron Hills, they're gonna leave that as a green space. It's kind of a transition area.
The former building 10 or whatever. it
Building
was,
10,
yeah.
building site 10, right.
Are they planning to fill that in where it was excavated, or?
I don't know. Well, I'm sure that'll show on the topos.
Actually, they are, because they're bringing the lower site up to raise the buildings up along the new road they're gonna be placing up behind the church property. So they're raising all that
Okay,
up.
cool. That's what I thought they planned, but then you said leave it alone. I was like, I don't want to.
And there was a couple things that were brought up as far as transition of the property on the west side, that we left that up to the developer and our engineer and planning consultant. So there's some details that have to be worked out, but as a whole, everything went together real nice on it. So I think it's going to be great.
What was the final count of residences in
I
there?
believe it was 172, 170?
I think it might be 176.
Yeah.
Wow, 176.
Brian, what were they, there was talk about the property that, the units that face South Commerce, about what they were gonna do to that fascia, because if you look at the one over on Union Lake,
Oh, yeah.
it's.
They actually worked with Sharon on that,
Okay.
and that was an upgrade as far as the architecture on the South Commerce side.
Yeah.
The fronts will be
The fronts
facing.
were, there's
The
not
fronts are
gonna
gonna
be.
face?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There won't be any garages visible from, the garages will actually be on the back side of those units.
Okay, that'd be nice, yeah, 'cause
So,
the ones over there on Union Lake and Commerce, that,
and that was one of Sharon's concerns,
Oh.
our administrator's concerns, that, she brought that up to them, and
they turned the building around.
stepped up
basically.
on that also, so.
And put the
there
garage
was,
on the back
some
side.
other additional
The other-
facades.
Yeah, the other area is the backs that will face the church.
Mm-hmm,
They're gonna upgrade those. I don't want those to look just
like a wall.
yeah, okay.
so there'll be some upgrades there too.
And another, I guess, noteworthy site plan issue was originally when Heron Hills had Heron Hills Drive going through the project, it was going to connect up to
Oakley
Oakley Park. And what's going to happen there is that's going to be an emergency access only, so they're only going to have one cutout over on South Commerce. And then Heron, connect up to Heron Hills Drive.
And that will keep everybody from using it as a
There'll be a loop
cut-through.
road in.
There'll be a loop road. So there's actually
Interior.
two.
No,
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 just
just the
one.
main,
Just
the
one
main
main
Heron
exit.
Hills and one more.
Right.
Yeah, it loops.
It'll be Heron Hills Drive, and then
Yeah, all the way
it'll
around.
also
Yeah.
be.
North
Come
and
out the
south.
same way.
Yeah.
So there's
Yes.
two.
Two entrances to Heron Hills and Peachcrest
Right.
inclusive.
Yeah, it's gonna be a north
Right.
and south, we have to work on that too, for safety issues that we're talking to Sharon.
We will.
And the other thing, they were gonna enter an agreement with Heron Hills to take care of the retention pond.
And the other thing
There
that they
was a
did,
lot of
we didn't
issues
put
with
on
it.
these conditions, they're going to put the second course on canvas-back lane, where they're gonna be placing 4 units. And it's
So
not.
they're at least gonna do the paving of that
Yes,
area, which
Right.
is.
yes. And all their roads will be private, but open to the
Yeah.
public.
I think that it's gonna be a nice looking project. So. Aside from that, I guess that's pretty much the noteworthy issues, so.
Sharon, anything for you to add there?
No, I think that's all. I think they've been very good to work with, and I think it's gonna be a nice addition to our community.
Are the residents of Heron Hills feeling
Yes,
better about it?
I
As the
believe
months
so.
have come on?
I spent time with them, and I know Mr. Bat spent time,
He's-
went
he's
to their
met
board
numerous
meeting
times with them, yeah.
several times.
Like I said, there wasn't anybody there at the planning
Yeah.
commission meeting.
I know a couple of people that live there, and the biggest thing is they're happy that the values of their condos have gone up.
So they're-
I think getting that developed is actually gonna help with the values
Oh, I
of their
agree.
Oh, I
condos,
agree too, yeah. And maybe some of the sales,
Mhm.
if any are empty yet,
Yeah.
which I believe there is.
Mr. Powell, anything to add?
I think Brian did an excellent job summarizing the project.
So that's where we are. They've got, do we have a time frame from here?
They wanted to get going, but there was some issues that they had to go through with the Heron Hills on the master deed, I think, right?
That's not really with them, that's with us.
Well,
They
with
have
us,
to-
yeah, I
They
guess.
have to work that out.
Yeah.
There's
some title
There's
issues.
some paperwork
Right.
yet
Yeah.
to be done.
But they're hoping to keep going.
Break ground this summer?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Great.
All right, any other questions on that one? Set topics for the March 2014 work session. I don't know that we have anything pending right now that wants action as a work session.
I could entertain a motion that we not have a work session. in
I'll
March.
second that
I
motion.
hear a motion from Sinkowitz to cancel the
I'm good at
March
that,
work
yeah.
session.
Yes, you are.
I'll
Second
second.
from Nagy.
I'm gonna wait for anybody to get a chance to think about it.
Further discussion, having had about 18 various village meetings this month,
Yeah.
canceling the work session would not hurt my,
Yeah, they're not
my
over
feelings.
with. Yeah, they're not over with yet.
They're not over with. I'll see some of you tomorrow morning. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pending business can pend. Update from Captain Ellsworth.
I want the snow to go away. That's it. But,
I agree.
It's been a pretty good month. Officer List will be back hopefully first part of May. And that's it. It's been good.
All right, update from the treasurer.
All square here, Mr. President, thanks.
All right, update from the administrator.
If you haven't noticed or you haven't seen, the harvester has arrived. Everything's working really well, and Ken has offered to put some pictures and videos together, hopefully, that we can gather from everyone that took them the day it arrived, and put some little blip on our website. And Mike Stack isn't here, but I'd like to thank him for volunteering to travel to Canada with Andy Stone the day before it arrived to make sure everything checked out, and it was a one-day trip, and I'd just like to thank him for volunteering to do that. We have talked with our ZBA chair, and we've set up some training for ZBA, which will be April 15th, with our village attorney, and we're going to make a mandatory training once a year. Also, if you haven't seen all the emails that I've been sending you about the free training with Oakland County on April 12th, That's about planning and zoning, and I've sent it, and for elected officials also, sent it to everyone on our boards and commissions. Hopefully someone will be able to attend that.
I did sign up for it.
Oh, good, great. And if you can't sign up, let me know and I'll sign up for you.
Hey, Brian, I can't make it.
It's
I'm gonna
easy.
be out of town. Can you, if there's any handouts, can you grab them?
Sure.
Your set, please? I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
That's all.
All right. Council comments. We'll start with Cumbo.
I'm relieved that the harvester has arrived. That's nice. And the same water board kind of theme, everyone's eager to see the aeration project get underway. I think they're very excited about it, and I share their enthusiasm. I'm looking forward to it.
Have they come up with a little area where they're gonna measure?
I think there's some issues that they need to work out in terms of
For the
getting
month.
power to it, other
Yeah,
issues
yeah.
like that. Things have to be worked out
Yeah,
through
there's
Sharon's
supposed to be-
office.
Right.
And,
One in Penny Lake and one in.
They've
the-
actually met with the DEQ and DNR, and their permit process is underway. So they have been very aggressive in trying to get the paperwork in to start the project. But that'll be the first thing to find out what they have to do. And of course, they can't do anything as far as the electrical or anything until we get rid of some of the snow.
yeah.
Oh,
Really, snow.
Snow,
no.
An extension cord.
yeah.
Anything else, Ron?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
All right, Kaznicki.
This has been the most exciting time I've had since we've been on this board. It's exciting. There's so much happening between the lake aeration and the harvester getting here and the repaving and starting to get some pathways. I mean, it's exciting. You know, I just can't believe the amount of work that's being generated. To piggyback on what Jean had said, Sharon, if you'd be so kind as to let Andy know. My husband happened to have a conversation with the U.S. Postal Service carrier today. And he said to my husband, "You guys are Wolverine Lake, right?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "You can tell the difference between Walled Lake and Wolverine Lake. It's plowed so much better." He says the Postal Service loves Wolverine Lake. You know, delivering mail in Wolverine Lake. Big difference between the two. So I just, please
So
pass
does the
that.
garbage contractor.
What?
So does the garbage
I
contractor.
bet. I mean, the Postal Service, I thought that was pretty cool that they said it. Same thing with everybody else, glad the harvester's here. And I was telling Tabitha before the meeting started, I love the new books. Mine was really falling apart, and I know there was a lot in here this time, but I like the smaller size. It's easier. Mine was always getting caught in the mailbox.
I
Yeah.
know, we gave you a smaller book this month, and then we jammed it full, so
Yeah,
next
but
month it won't be so
no,
full.
yeah, but that's okay. I really like them. I think it was a good ad. So, and that's about it.
Nagy?
Yeah, I'm glad the harvester's here too. Thank goodness for that. Did they take the old one, by the way?
Yes.
I forgot to ask that
You don't see
question.
it, do you?
I didn't look for it. All right.
It's in the lake.
Yes, and yeah, congratulations to the DPW, they did a great job. But man, it was so wet and heavy, man. My driveway trying to clear out the end of it was, but we got through it. And the other thing was, I don't know how many council members get notes put in their council mailbox, but I've got 2 of them now. And this is one I think I passed on to Sharon. I'll give her the original one about the trash company and not picking stuff up. And I know they're supposed to report it if there's an issue, but they were just reminding people. But I mean, I get these little notes in my mailbox, and I give it to Sharon, and I don't get any nobody signs it, but it's a neighbor,
Yeah.
okay?
There's nothing I can do about it, I don't know who it is.
I understand that, but they made some suggestions about reminding everybody about the trash pickup, and, we got the new company now, and this is how we do it, and, I mean, they were around yesterday morning, and by 10 o'clock, even the recyclables were gone, okay? And they're not playing Frisbee with the garbage can lids anymore, they're putting them right by the garbage can, so my neighbor across the street appreciates that, being 75 years old, she didn't want to walk through the snow anymore to get it, so,
Yes, we appreciate the comments, and we do pass them on
Yeah.
to Republic.
that's great. Yeah, you gotta keep up the good work, that's all I got, thank you.
All right, we go to Nedrow.
No comment.
Simplates.
No comment.
So I've got a couple things. First of all, I just want to extend my condolences to Councilman Scott on the death of his mother-in-law. So Next item, Harvester. Let me tell you, I was as excited as anybody else, and especially I got out of an admin committee meeting and was standing there in the hallway, and there it came, right past the door, and that has been a long time coming. Thank you to everybody for persisting through. I know it's been occasionally a contentious item, but I think we're really gonna see a lot of benefits from having that, from having it in place. I was looking at that stainless steel barge. That thing is not going to rust out like the old one. We got 30 years, more or less, out of the old one, 27 years. I expect to get that and more out of this new one. I can't read my own handwriting.
You're in trouble now.
The glasses aren't gonna help. Whatever that was, thank you for the plowing, everybody's already said that. Ice, believe it or not, spring is coming. I know it's hard to believe today, but look, here's my St. Patty's Day tie. At our next meeting, this beard may be gone, it may not, I don't wanna taunt old man Winter, let him move along. But I did wanna remind everybody that, the ice will be going out. We've had great ice this winter. It's been really solid. You could do whatever you wanted out there. But it's not as thick as some people think in some places because we had such a heavy snowpack on top of it. It insulated it pretty well. So when it goes, it's going to go pretty quickly. So attention, internet audience, everybody else here. Just remind people to be careful out there. It's a dangerous time on the ice. And that was it.
Motion to adjourn?
I have one quick question. Just one. You mentioned internet audience. Have we gotten any feedback as far as numbers?
We know the numbers.
You know the numbers?
Well, there's, in terms of just playbacks on the YouTube channel, there's been over 300 of the various videos.
Oh,
That's plus.
good. All right. That's all. Thank you.
I made the motion already, I just.
I second that motion.
Motion to adjourn from Sinkowitz, second Nagy.
Late night.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
This is, like,